Well, here we are, a topic that I wanted to avoid. Yes, I stopped talking about Xbox for about 2 months now. The last thing I really covered was their Gamescom showcase, and I just got tired of it. I got tired of the bad faith arguments. I got tired of everything being reframed. Everything gets turned into personal attacks and just nastiness. Watching the brand essentially completely jettisoned from everything that it had promised people, and that being defended or twisted or misrepresented. You know, the mouthpiece is in overdrive this year as everything Xbox has done to mislead the public and hide things that were coming. And this story became too big to ignore when they did their second increase of price on consoles. I didn't really pay any attention to it. I didn't want to cover that. When they did their increase in Game Pass prices last week, I was like, you know what? I want to play Ghosts of Yotei and talk about Yotei. I don't want to talk about this. But then over the weekend, more revelations came out, and then Microsoft spoke to it, conveniently speaking to something that actually wasn't even originally claimed, which is kind of par for the course with them, right? There's a leak about something not great, and then they respond to something that nobody actually said. So in case you missed it, the Game Pass price increase was followed by, it followed the second console price increase, and it was causing this big stir in the gaming world. Everybody's sort of talking about the future of Xbox, a conversation that's been sort of ongoing as we just sort of observe everything that the company's been doing. And this was apparently just the beginning, though, when this story hit, when we heard that, oh my, they raised their prices. Bloomberg ran an article claiming to have spoken to current and former employees about the real cause of the Game Pass price increase. And then we started hearing from folks with pretty good track records that Xbox leaks, they were claiming essentially that they were either reconsidering their plans with hardware, or actually the quote was that the plans were just completely up in the air. And this was in the wake of the exact same thing that Bloomberg had just reported on. Call of Duty on Game Pass was essentially viewed as a failure. It allegedly lost them $300 million, and they wanted an answer. Now, in June of last year, I said, listen, if they're going to put Call of Duty on Game Pass, Microsoft will want to fiscally analyze that. And they have. So much for being pro-consumer and so much for giving you the best value in gaming, right? Like, it's all about you. No, it's all about profit, and it always has been. This is why many of us warned against the Xbox Activision deal. We saw it as a very, very dangerous precedent. You were going to essentially increase operational costs for Xbox into the stratosphere, which would then result in firings, layoffs, studio closures, canceled games, and all of that has happened. This leak has indicated that there will be more of that in the first quarter of next year, just as massive as they've been up to this point. And that's the actual headline that got ignored. The headline should read that Call of Duty on Game Pass was such a fundamental failure that it's rippling out through the entire company. It's why Game Pass is now more expensive. And according to Sneakers, who has consistently gotten all of the big changes at Xbox, they have been the one to call it first. They're the ones now saying, in result of this, all their hardware plans are up in the air, okay? And then everybody started saying, well, everything has been canceled. All their hardware plans have been canceled, which is really, really convenient because now Xbox is in a prime position to respond to that with a very generic response. It's eerily similar to when Xbox had their CFO saying they were going to start putting first-party games on PlayStation and Nintendo, and that PlayStation and Nintendo were formerly considered competitors. Well, what did Phil Spencer do? He doesn't respond to that. He says, we have no plans to put Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo, and everybody was satiated by that. This feels very similar. You have a pretty damning indictment come out that one of their more significant decisions in the last 24 months, which is to put Call of Duty on Game Pass, was a failure to the degree that Microsoft is requiring change to make the money back that they lost, and now it's causing questions about their future hardware. That's the headline. The headline's not Xbox has completely canceled all hardware plans, but when you run that headline, it makes it easier for Microsoft to respond, because you can't really respond to what Sneakers said, because that would require actually speaking to the profitability of Game Pass, something they've always sort of spoke about in very vague terms about, well, it's profitable, but like in what regard do you view it as profitable? The actual operational cost, and in this case, losses to put things on Game Pass. there's no way you could argue that it's profitable because of the nature of what is required to even keep games going over there, even if you're just paying for third party. Now, the reason I'm saying all this is exactly what the thumbnail says. We tried to warn you. I tried to warn you. Many of us said the acquisition was not going to lead to good things. We were told by mouthpieces that this was going to be good for the developers. It was going to be good for the games. It was going to be good for the consumers. At what point has that come true? It hasn't. It hasn't been good for consumers. It hasn't been good for developers or games. We have less product coming to the market. We have less studios open, less talent in the industry, and now you have a more expensive version of Day and Date, and people are suddenly realizing they have been conditioned to not grow a library. So your games vanish into the ether like a Thanos snap. When you cancel Game Pass, all those games go with it. The studios being closed and the games being canceled are just the beginning, because at this point, I made a video I think sometime last year saying like Microsoft killed Xbox. And I've tried to tell people for the longest time that Microsoft is the devil in the room. You're looking at the wrong thing. You keep looking at Phil Spencer and you keep looking at Game Pass and you keep looking at this console war, and you're not paying attention to the actual villain in the room. The villain that's going to take everything that you once loved and get rid of it. That's why it was believable that all their hardware plans had been shelved. It wasn't hard to believe. It apparently isn't true. I'll read their quote in a minute, and you can decide whether or not you trust them at this point. Game Pass was always defended as profitable and pro-consumer, but how could you even say that now in light of the recent revelations? I honestly think that Xbox wanted it to be the headline that they had canceled their hardware plans so they could speak to that and let that be the big story. They don't want it known, or they don't want it really publicized that they lost hundreds of millions of dollars by putting Call of Duty on Game Pass, because they just raised the price of Game Pass right before Call of Duty comes out, just like they did last time. The reality is this created an entire customer base that have little to no game library, and now you're stuck. You either continue to pay $30 a month for Ultimate if you want to continue to get Day and Date, or you cancel and essentially start over. You either start buying games on the platform that essentially lied to you, misled you, and sold you a bill of goods this generation, or you got to start all the way over on PC with a Steam library or PlayStation. They moved Day and Date to Ultimate last year. If you don't remember that, a lot of people think they just did that. No, they did that last year, right before they released Call of Duty and they raised the price. They knew it was going to hurt their bottom line, and they're doing it again. According to Bloomberg, the $300 million that they lost, that's a big requirement for making that back, basically. They're like, listen, we need to get that money back. That's one of the driving reasons for the price hike to the subservice. We're already hearing that they're headed towards a total publisher strategy, which seems more likely with every development. I honestly don't really know what I should even say at this point, because I was thinking about what should I put on the thumbnail. You know, what do I want to call this stream? I told you so feels hollow. I mean, I could have riddled an entire playlist this year with I told you so videos and live streams. Everything that I said was going to happen has happened. I mean, even last year when I was just talking about Game Pass getting Call of Duty, I was like, well, Microsoft's going to want to know, how did that result fiscally? They're not just going to be like, yeah, let's just let that ride. They are interested in profit. And that's why the acquisition was never a good idea. Victory laps on this topic end up feeling quite a bit petty because nobody's benefiting from any of this. Consumers have less choice. You've had entire years of your subscription service basically now either held hostage for $30 or you've got to start all the way over. That's not good for the consumers that are faced with that decision. Virtually everything that we predicted, I wasn't the only one predicting this. I'm not going to act like I'm some soothsayer here. There were plenty of other channels and podcasters and contributors that were trying to wave the warning flag and saying this is not the way you want the brand to go. So let me just ask you something. Do you trust anything they say at this point? Let me just read you what they said. This is what Microsoft officially said in response to the sneakers leak and all the new information that came out. They said, we are actively investing in our own, I'm going to start over. I'm going to get this exactly right. We are actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, and built by Xbox. For more details, the community can revisit our agreement announcement with AMD. Now, let me just paint you a picture. There have been a couple of years now where something like this leaks or something like this gets seen by the public, and Xbox plays a word game or they play some kind of a looky-loo game. So remember, the actual story is that COD on Game Pass was such an abysmal failure for the company's bottom line that they're raising the price of Game Pass, and it's caused ripples within the company, and now their hardware plans are, quote, up in the air. That's the actual story, but what got turned into a story was, well, all their hardware plans are canceled. Well, that's a great runway for Microsoft to walk out and say something as generic as, well, we're actively investing in our future first-party consoles. If you're feeling a little bit of deja vu, it's because we've been here before. The minute something gets leaked from somebody that's like, hey, they're making a change or they're considering a change, everyone goes full denial. Xbox makes a generic promise and everybody thinks everything's good. Remember when the rumors started circulating that their games were going to start to go to other platforms? We went through this same thing. We went through it when the CFO said what he said. We went through it when leakers started saying things like, well, Halo's being considered, Gears is being considered, Forza's being considered, and everyone denied it. And then what did Phil say? Just 4 games. This is not a signal that everything's going. Well, Forza's over there, Gears is over there, the last man standing is Master Chief. So the question you have to ask is there any reason to trust them now? We've been here before. The cracks in the surface form, we learn about their real plans, and they do this weird corpo generic, but we are actively investing. That could be anything. They were repurposing Series X's for cloud, which is why it was hard for you to find a Series X. That makes you feel any better about that. Those of you who settled for a Series S and you wanted a Series X, they were repurposing them for cloud. So their active investment right now in future consoles and future hardware, it could be anything. It could be things that end up being repurposed for cloud. And listen, it could still come to the market. There could still be this hybrid PC thing that they're building. That could still end up coming to the market. The reason this was believable and the reason that people thought, yeah, they probably are canceling is because the consoles are getting pulled from the shelves of retailers. And retailers, apparently, there's more coming that are like, yeah, we're not carrying Xbox anymore. That's a pretty bleak future if you think, well, yeah, they're still going to do hardware, even though right now their hardware sales are terrible and people lack so much confidence in their future hardware that all it took was a little rumor for everybody to say, yeah, they're done. They're exiting hardware. The pattern is that they say things like this when the levee starts to break on their real plans. It's happened so often at this point, I'm not sure why anybody would trust what they say. Considering that sneakers is one of the sources for the claims that after a lot of the internal developments recently, like we learned what they were going to be doing, that's this guy's track record, is he broke a lot of these leaks first, and now he seems to be doing it again. Costco pulling Xbox is apparently just the beginning. Other retailers will be doing that. So if I were placing bets based on track records, I wouldn't trust Xbox. I would trust the word on the street. But that's just what I think. Now I want to hear what you think. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. A lot of that was unscripted because I wrote this yesterday and even more sort of started coming out, and a light bulb went off this morning. Like, I was getting ready for the day and I thought, wait, Sneakers didn't say the plans were canceled. That's not what he said. So why is that the big focal point? I think that was a part of the plan. I think the plan was, we've got to shift this narrative away from what Sneakers actually leaked. If that's what gets circulated more, that's damning. We've got to go with, oh yeah, no, the plans are canceled. So if the headlines become the plans are canceled, we can speak to that and say, no, we're actively investing in hardware, and that'll calm everybody down. This is just like when the CFO said what he said, and Phil answers a completely different question. Does anybody trust them at this point? Even the diehard Xbox guys, I gotta ask them. Like, do you trust them? Do you trust anything they're saying? And why? Why? Why would you trust them? They've said so much the last 5 years that was like perfectly crafted to calm you down. Like that's their expertise right now, is calming the public down. Like that's their expertise. I gotta thank some people. Hang on a second. Let me get the goal up here on the board. We got Drug Doc with 15 months on Twitch. Eric with 8 months on Twitch. Let me add you guys to the total. And then I've got Nitro Fusion with the Member Plus on YouTube. And then DK Bager. Han shot first, and so did you. First gifted member of the day, followed by Raphael McCoy. And we're at 5. That's a 20-bomb setup if I've ever seen one. Let's start off this spicy day right. Somebody slam it home, and I'm going to owe that platform a single gifted. Let's get it. And thank you guys for all the likes, and thank you for the huge turnout. Listen, I knew y'all were going to come out for this show today, okay? I didn't want to talk Xbox for the last 2 months, and I knew a lot of you would show up, and I know why you're here, okay? So get your clips, enjoy the ad revenue. I didn't want to talk about this, but how could I not? Like, this is deja vu. We've been here how many times where a leaker's like, yeah, well, they're going to do this, and this is looking pretty bad. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're like, well, you know, corporate speak, and everybody calms down. It's been 2 months. Yeah, I checked my the back end of my YouTube channel. I've not done an upload or an Xbox show for 2 months. The last thing I did was a Gamescom stream. It wasn't even a topical thing. And Siriu comes in with the 10 bomb to get us halfway there. And a single from Anthony Robinson, 26 months, says, "At it, gamer dude." Boom. Thank you so much. And thank you, Siriu, for the 10 bomb. You don't watch on YouTube anymore? Yeah. Get Brap in here. What'd Brap say? Brap, I saw him talking in the chat. They, Xbox, don't have a good track record in messaging where they say one thing and do another. Listen, I'm at least seeing some of the Xbox guys. I mean, Jez Corden in his Windows Central article, even Jez was like, what? At this point, they could just stop. Like, they've got a proven track record to be like, yeah, we're done. Yeah, we said we were going to do this thing, but we're not going to do this thing now. Like, Jez and many other the Xbox guys are saying, like, I don't even know. Why would you even trust this? Like, if you guys follow Brad Sams on his YouTube channel, I like Brad, and this is what he said. I thought this was an excellent tweet. He says, "It's good that Xbox has said we are still building first-party hardware. However, Windows Phone, Kinect, Band, various Surface hardware kin." He says, "I don't think they've changed plans, but they are always doing something right up until they are not." Like, I think that's the dilemma that they're facing, is that no one's confident enough to think that, yeah, that they're definitely going to do what they say. Confidence in the brand is in the toilet. Microsoft promised regulators that they wouldn't increase the price of Game Pass as a result of acquiring ABK, and they've increased Game Pass prices twice since. Right. Exactly. And it's difficult not to say that's because they acquired ABK, because if they hadn't acquired ABK, they wouldn't have been in a position to put Call of Duty on Game Pass, and if they wouldn't have put Call of Duty on Game Pass, there wouldn't have been this reason for price increases. How can you not see a direct correlation there, a direct connection? Right before they put Call of Duty on Game Pass, they shift day and date to Ultimate, and they raise the price of Game Pass. And then this year, they do it again. They're like, yep, we're about to put Call of Duty on Game Pass again, got to raise the price. It's like, how can you trust anything they say at this point? Thank you, Milk Dud, for 4 months over there on Purple. I appreciate it. Guys, if you're coming in on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button. The reason I went with "I tried to warn you" instead of "I told you so" is like, I tried to warn people. I was like, listen, I'm on your side. When I was critical of the Series S, when I was critical of Xbox and critical of their decision-making, I did it as a fan. And Xbox fans spit in my face and called me names, and it was like, I'm on your side. I had a guy, I went back and I listened to my stream from June of last year where I said that I thought Microsoft would do this. They would want to fiscally analyze the decision to put Call of Duty on Game Pass. And there was a guy, and there was like, yeah, you just always hating on Xbox. And I was like, I have been critical of the brand because that's the gaming system I bought first this generation. I bought a Series X. I had this huge library. I was super pumped for Xbox this gen. How could you not come to the same conclusions that I came to? Now, maybe it took you longer, but can't you see? As much as you might hate me from the shadows, and as much as you might think I'm some kind of a pony, it's like you're now arriving the place that I got 2 or 3 years ago. It took you a little bit longer, but can't you see? I said this 2 and 3 years ago. I said, none of this is what we were promised. None of it. And it all started with the Series S. The Series S wasn't what we were promised. We were promised Project Scarlet. That's what we were promised. How can you not see that I just got to this conclusion before you did? Yeah, I called Xbox a sleeping giant. I was a huge Xbox fan. Hex always brings that up because I had people that didn't agree with me. There were people that were earlier to this fight than I was. There were guys like Porter Rock and King Thrash and others that were like, they were calling these shots well before I was. I was a Destiny streamer. I didn't pay attention to this crap. I didn't pay attention to any of this crap. I was a Destiny streamer, and I didn't like PlayStation because I was a Destiny streamer, and they did exclusives, and I hated it. I have some people to thank. Hang on. Emp Reb, 37 months into VIP. I canceled my Game Pass because of the price increase. I had it as my supplement for my habits, but going to 30 on Ultimate, even if I reduce back to it on PC only, I don't trust them anymore. Free ride is over. Bumping the line by 1. Thank you, Emp Reb. Madara. I say the name wrong. All you weebs cry. Madara, with 38 months into VIP, I love being right in the morning. I'm so glad the other guys have to sober up and eat humble pie for all the gloating from that bogus deal. $69 billion for what? And then 10 months from Insomniac Black. Had to stop working to type this up. Just got one thing to say. Break out Lucille, Lono. Boom, boom. We're a 5 bomb away from the first 25 of the week. Now listen to me. Lucille's in the room. But I don't want to get Lucille out. It's not productive. They know who they are. They know what they said. They know how they treated me. They know the lies they told, right? They have to live with that. That's a better judgment than anything I could say, swinging a metaphorical bat around and trying to bust jaws. Who cares? Let them sleep in the messy bed that they made. I don't care. I don't care. From the beginning of my coverage, I took up for the consumer. From the beginning of my coverage, I made it about what was better for the consumer and better for the market. And everybody tried to turn it into some console fight. And congratulations, the console war is over because your team basically left. Like, forfeited $300 million in sales by putting COD on Game Pass, and 86% of COD sales were on PlayStation. An ex-FTC member came out and said, "I told you so." Yeah, like, how did people not see this was coming? Your console PC cloud hybrid is dead. Arrow CO in Lono we trust. Thank you for 23 months, Arrow. If you want to upgrade to Member Plus, that adds to the total, and then you get into more content. When you're on the gifted member tier, you don't get into all the shows. Guys, if you've never been here before, do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe, and if you consider supporting the channel directly, we are a fan-funded channel. I'm not some big giant channel. My channel is supported by you with memberships, and we do a lot of members-only content. And so I appreciate you guys being here. This goal here is for Friday nights with my wife. We're in October now, so this unlocks a spooky game. You can make my wife and I play a spooky game on Friday night. Yeah, Lucille's Negan's bat in The Walking Dead. Listen, people want me to go on a tirade and to call people out and to pull receipts. I don't care to do that. I really don't. The people that made this personal and put me in their stupid videos and called me names And then there were some that were deliberately dishonest about me, and they know who they are. Why would I say their names? Why would I invoke them? They're nothing to me. They're nothing. They're dots on the map that are fading in the distance. I just don't care anymore about that. It's why I didn't want to cover this stuff anymore. It's why I did not want to cover it anymore. It's like I cannot stand what it invites. I can't stand it. It's why I was like last week, I was like, not talking about it. I'm not talking about it. I just want to talk about Yote. And then this stuff hit over the weekend. Like, I literally sent a DM to Tim Dog, and I was like, man, I appreciate you. I hope you're doing all right, because obviously everybody goes after him when this kind of stuff happens, and he knew it was coming. It's interesting that, like, he knew it was coming, and then Sneakers leaks everything. So Tim DMs me back, and he's like, yeah, I'll give you some more of the scoop if you call me. So I called him, and Timmy and I were on the phone for, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes, and there's stuff that he won't even put out there, and I won't either. It's there, yeah, it's like, I respect his willingness to talk to me, and I told him, I said, if you tell me anything is off record and I'm not allowed to say it, I'm not going to say it out of respect. And there's some doozies of things that have happened, and yeah, this is I think just like when other changes were coming. This is that smoke that you start to smell in the room. You're like, wait, something's going on. Something's about to happen. That's what this is. I firmly believe that. Thank you for the gifted. You're welcome. B-Nipple for 30 months. Welcome back. And guys, I did pause the thing that nobody likes, so do me a favor and smash the heck out of that like button. Guys, today is a great day to be really, really generous. Let's welcome a bunch of people back into the community. Listen, I want to talk directly to a lot of you Xbox guys that stopped hanging out here, okay? I know it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun watching your brand do stuff that wasn't what you wanted. It wasn't fun coming back here and being like, oh, freaking Lono was right about all this. Listen, we're about games here. We got a Discord. We got people playing games together. Well, I don't care about any of this tribalistic crap. Everybody tried to paint me as something that I wasn't. It was never about that. To me, it was always about holding a brand accountable that I was bought into and was in their corner. That's all this was ever about. And people wanted to make it about other things. Not anymore. Going forward, anybody tries to do that, I'm like, no, we don't do that here. Everybody's welcome. I've got a Discord. We've got rooms set up so people can play games together. This is a community about games. That's what we're about. I'm not about this labeling people and being like, well, you're this and you're that, or you're a pony, or blah, da, 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 da. No. I don't care where you game. I don't care where you hold your hat. You're welcome here. You just got to come in and be respectful. That's it. Did you see my tweet regarding the business case for Xbox to leave the hardware business? I did not, but I bet I can pull it up. Which one is it, Brap? Like, how's it start? You've been retweeting our boy Game Logic a lot. Here it is. Even if you're skeptical of the leaks, there's a legitimate business case for Xbox stepping away from first-party hardware. Between the margin pressure from Game Pass and the $80 billion poured into acquisitions, the economics have shifted. Hardware is a low-margin grind compared to publishing and services. Hardware for Xbox is in steep decline. Game Pass demands constant content, which means ballooning development costs with limited upside if you're locked into a single console platform. I would also say what Brap's talking about right here, right? What Brap's talking about here is also cause for concern about studio closures as well, because they got to bring those costs down. If you're not concerned about all future property underneath Microsoft's ownership, you should be right now. You really should be, because that was the other really, really worrying thing that Sneakers said, was that there's more layoffs coming as just as massive in first quarter of next year. I'm telling you. All games underneath Microsoft ownership are in jeopardy. They're all in jeopardy. That's not fear-mongering. That's not hate. It is obvious that the mushrooming production costs of that company, the operational costs, are so big. They're so big. It's like I don't have confidence in any of the games underneath their ownership right now, because the studios are probably in just as much jeopardy as the games themselves. Hang on, I got to thank somebody before we go back to the tweet. Siege Master with a 5-bomb lands the plane, boom, perfectly. And I owe a member to YouTube. The first 25 of the week already down. If Xbox goes, who will take its placement? Thank you for the $2 super chat. That's not really the... Here's the thing. I got to go back to the second part of Brap's tweet here. This idea that, well, if there's no competition, we're all in trouble. Consoles will be $1,000 and games will be $100. Okay? You're kind of invoking that notion a little bit, True Witty. You're not, but you are. It's in the same hemisphere. Like, well, who's going to take their place? Okay? I don't think that that's the way this industry moves. Like, well, oh no, without a competition, this is going to happen. Nintendo and PlayStation are going to keep doing what Nintendo and PlayStation do. I don't think they're suddenly going to be like, well, Xbox is off the table. It's time to go crazy. There's still a threshold that you can go beyond where consumer demand will be damaged by pricing thresholds that are just too high, whether it's per game cost or per hardware costs. So I don't think that that's a big concern. Brad says, I heard from others that more studio closures and layoffs are coming. Oh, for sure. This is going to be catastrophic to a certain degree. And again, that's why I made that my thumbnail. I tried to warn you. I did. I did my best to be like, this is not going to be good. You think this is going to be good. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. All right. Second part of the tweet. Microsoft's real value now sits in its IP, cloud infrastructure, and cross-platform reach, and not in selling Xboxes. Again, this part here, the concerning thing for me is what Sneaker said, and others have speculated, that they're only really going to focus on their biggest IPs. Do you want to know why? That's what these companies are starting to do. Warner Brothers said the same thing. That Warner Brothers has said the exact same thing. Like, we're just going to focus on our big IPs. So if Microsoft is in the driver's seat and Xbox isn't, Microsoft's going to say COD, Minecraft, Warcraft, Diablo. Like, they're going to focus on the really, really bigs, and everything else, medium and down, will just go away. That's what they'll do. Are you seriously saying that less players in a console market won't be a net negative? I didn't say that, no. Barnwaz says, yes, Disco, he's dumb. No, I didn't say that at all. If Xbox goes, who will take its place? I didn't say that it won't be a negative if there's less people playing. I said that I don't think Sony and PlayStation will suddenly start going crazy with their prices because Xbox is out of the picture. If you took from that I said that less players won't be a net negative, you weren't listening. You're making something up to try to claim that. It's ironic to claim that I'm dumb as you completely misunderstood the point that I was making. I've said many a time that this with Xbox will be bad for the market. You don't want Xbox to go away. You don't want them to leave. You don't want their platform, their console. You don't want their property to leave. That would be bad. I've said this for years. I've said, you want Xbox to go away. Why would I want them to go away? Why? I bought a Series X. I have a huge library over there. Why would I want them to go away? You pretty much said that. No, I did not. If you pen the market, why wouldn't you? One thing leads to another. No, you're putting words in my mouth to argue against something I never said. That's called straw manning. Like, you're propping up an argument I never said. I'm right now telling you my position. So engage with this or take a hike. I'm not interested in people like you today because you're bad faith. You're completely reframing what I'm saying. I have said from the beginning that if this deal goes through, it will lead to less games, less talent, less studios, less choices for the consumer. That's all bad. And if it results in less people gaming, that's also bad. That's my position. So interact with my position, not something made up that I never said. I never said that if people stop gaming, that's not a bad thing. I never said that. You're completely fabricating that out of thin air because you can't argue against anything else I said, apparently. Like, I'll just say it. For the last 3 years, people have very consistently argued against things I've never said because they can't argue against what I actually say. That's the facts, Jack. That's the facts. If you can't argue against what I say, you got to make things up to argue against. So don't do that in my chat. That's a waste of our time. Like, engage with what I'm actually saying. All right, we got a super chat. Hang on. Wait. Yeah, no, wait. Arthur Torres with the member plus. And a $5 super chat from Siriu. I'm tired of the competition BS. Microsoft and Nintendo have attempted and or released $80 games, and Xbox put their name on a $1,000 device. Yeah, that's the other interesting part about this is like, let me get this straight. If Xbox dies and leaves the market, then Nintendo and PlayStation are going to charge $1,000 for their consoles, and they're going to raise game prices. Let me ask you something. Who has a $1,000 console in the market right now, and who raised the prices on their hardware twice? Who? Oh, that's right. Xbox did that. Who trotted out $80 games? Nintendo did with Mario Kart, and then Xbox did. Isn't that funny? How all the dooms, oh yeah, but if Xbox leaves, then they're going to make games more expensive and their hardware more expensive. Xbox seems to be doing a bang-up job all on their own doing that, raising the prices of hardware and software. Not PlayStation. Now, yeah, PlayStation did do a price increase recently, but they were on record during an earnings call, and they said, we don't want to raise the prices. They shored up stock in America so they didn't have to raise prices when everybody else was. They tried to hold off as long as they could with the frickin' the tariffs. But Xbox has done it twice. Is PlayStation out here selling $80 games? No, Xbox is. Like, come on. I got some more people to thank. True Witty with a $5 super chat. You're mistaken. I don't think that. I know Sony can't go crazy. They got a business to maintain. Knowing PlayStation is their moneymaker, I was saying who could. Okay, hang on. Arthur Torres gifts a 5-bomb, and we're exactly 20 away from the next milestone of 50. Who wants to be the first 20 bomb of the week? Let's see it. And thank you, Arthur Torres, for bumping the line. I do owe YouTube a member. I need to do that right now, and I need to go back to Brap's tweet. I keep breaking off and talking about other things. Hang on one second here. Let me get this going. If you guys haven't hit the like button yet, hit the like button. I'm going to pause the thing that nobody likes. Thank you guys so much for being here. I know you guys miss the fire and the spice and the taking Xbox to task thing. I know you guys miss it. I just got freaking tired of it. So we'll take another 2-month break. I don't know why you keep spamming this. Oh, Sixer just keeps spamming. What are you talking out of the top 10? Bro, sexy, I missed your renewal over here on Purple. Thank you for 6 months. He says, here's a sub that's worth it. Keep spitting the facts, brother. 6 double dipping months. Thank you so much. That's one over there on Purple. Purple, you're way behind. It's 28-4. Somebody's got to start bringing the heat over there. And a $5 super chat from Jack Garland says, Sega will rise again. Jiminy freaking Christmas. Okay, let's go back to this tweet here. When you're spending billions to own Call of Duty, Minecraft, and World of Warcraft, the goal isn't to prop up a console that loses money in market share. It's to dominate distribution. And that means being everywhere minus the headache of first-party hardware. Ditching hardware frees up capital, and the business can use elsewhere to yield higher ROI. Right, like, basically Brap is just saying in a lot more of an intellectual way that the reason people believed that Xbox was going to completely pull out of hardware is because it's believable. It's believable. Rolled credits on Act 3 of Tsushima. Way too late, but it's done. Wow, what a final fight. So good. It's so good. Steam will take over. Steam will take over what? They don't need to take over anything. They're one of the more dominant platforms out there. They're one of the more dominant storefronts out there. Their MAUs are absurd. They don't need to take over anything. They've got a perfectly healthy, good slice of the market. PWH with a $5 super chat tip. It's funny. All the evil anti-consumer policies fear-mongered by Xbox fans are being implemented by Xbox. I mean, it's hard not to think that, like, people are like, yeah, but PlayStation's going to charge $1,000 and raise their game prices. And Xbox is like, that sounds like a swell idea. We'll do that. Here's $1,000 handheld. Do you remember? Do you guys remember? It was a couple of weeks ago. And I was playing something. What was I playing? Returnal? And some guy came in on a member stream. And he was like, I heard that Xbox is going to subsidize the handheld. Oh, you did? All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. Gee-many Christmas. Louis Love coming in with 27 months of member plus. If Dreamcast, Xbox goes away, the gaming industry is going to die. Thank you so much for that resub, Louis Love. Guys, make sure you're smashing the like button. Try to get me to 300 likes really, really quickly. Listen, if you guys subscribe to the channel right now, you won't get a free kitten in the mail, but you might. There's always a chance, stranger things have happened. But you'll also have me on your homepage and your sub feed all week long. I do a talk show like this all of the time, so you can always come back for gaming news, gaming discussion, gaming debates. I greatly appreciate it. A $1,000 handheld and an $800 Series X. Right. Yeah. We were promised kittens. I mean, there's a chance. There's always a chance that a kitten just shows up in the mail. Cat distribution system is working as intended. It is. Just randomly, you might get a cat. Yeah. Now, I don't know if it'll be alive or not, but yeah, that also wasn't promised. Yo, Zycon Gifts, 5 subs over there on Purple. Come on. Putting Purple back in contention. You're now officially 20 behind. Thank you guys so much for the strong start to the week. What's the spooky game that comes out this week? I can't remember what it was that we were going to play. That's not funny. Yes, it is. Feed's in the chat. Guys, feed is in the chat without a badge. We must rectify this on YouTube, please. We must rectify this. Is there... I got to ask this question right now. Because I got a poll on the channel. Let me just show you. All right? Let me just show you. Here we go. I said, in light of recent rumors, do you think there will be a new Xbox console in the future? 33% said yes, 67% said no. I have to know right now. Is there anybody in chat that trusts what Xbox says anymore? Like when they're like, oh no, we're actively investing in the hardware. Yeah, is it Little Nightmares this week? I think it's Little Nightmares. I think. Because it's co-op. Is there anybody right now, is there anybody willing to get into the ring and be like, oh no, I trust them. They're gonna continue with this plan? Anybody at all? What is this? Games... Active users. What are we supposed to be seeing here, Fuzzy? Is it just that because he tweeted it, or is there something particular that you think is worthy of note from these results? Borderlands 4 was a Steam US top 15 game ranked total weekly active users. And where is that? Is that US? Yeah, that's US. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Borderlands was a top 10 game on both Xbox and PlayStation for that week. That's pretty good for them. A $2 super chat from True Witty. As long as I get Starfield next year on my PS5, I'm good. Okay, just the weekly post. Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was something relevant to the conversation. Unless it includes more money out of my pocket, I don't trust it. I trust Xbox as much as the Series S was going to be a 1440 60 FPS powerhouse. No. I hope an Xbox PC. So 187, you hope they still do the console PC hybrid. Von Raz says, Lono, I do believe they are actively investing in hardware, but that doesn't mean that it's gaming related or console related as it has been in the past, meaning traditional console. My bet is that they are investing in subscription services or cloud infrastructure. Neo Reaper with a $5 super chat says, did you see the IGN article or video? All PlayStation games are telling the same story. I hard disagreed personally. Yeah, I thought it was a terrible article that completely misunderstands the actual story elements of God of War Ragnarok in particular. Like, acting like God of War Ragnarok is the same as The Last of Us Part 2. These people don't understand, basic literary criticism and how you analyze a story, its themes, its character arcs. It was awful. It was truly awful. If you had anybody with any background in literary analysis and interpretation look at those games and their stories, they would be like, no, these stories are vastly different. Is this your music, by the way, in the background? I can't hear anything. Yeah, this is mine. I just had AI make a bunch of synthwave for my my channel. I got tired of dealing with copyright stuff. You can't keep flip-flopping over and over and expect anyone to trust you. 38 months from Serenity says, I canceled my Game Pass. Xbox has not been bringing it for years. Thank you so much. We're at 39 on the week. Thank you. And make sure you guys are hitting that like button. We should be at 300 likes by now. Let's set our target on it. I find it interesting that Sneakers listing the major franchises Microsoft is doing to focus on in the future. Halo is not listed. What does that say? Does Microsoft no longer consider Halo major? You didn't notice the story pattern of Revenge and Astrobot and Helldivers? Yeah. Ratchet and Clank, Returnal, Astrobot, Helldivers. Yeah, whole lot of revenge going on there. Man, yeah. Yep. So much revenge. It's over, says Corey. They may invest into a pre-built PC, but then again, they may attempt to have OEMs build it. Also, the Xbox handheld was canceled because they wanted 10 million units. Yeah, AMD wanted 10 million units, which I actually don't think that's on Xbox. I thought that was an absurd expectation from AMD. Like, collectively, handhelds haven't even sold half that. Like, if you add up all of the handhelds, they haven't even hit 5 million yet, maybe. They might be close to 5 million. That's all of them. Expecting an Xbox handheld to sell 10 million units is absurd given the current climate around handhelds. Like, I'm like, why would AMD expect that? That seems a little ridiculous. The partnership with AMD tells you all you need to know. Other companies that can build PC hardware is build their stuff like they've always done with Windows. Deuterino, I think the biggest thing I take from this is this. The pattern with Xbox is that somebody like Sneakers leaks something, and it's the beginning of the conversation. And then the change happens. And Xbox rather smartly speaks before the decision has been made. Okay? So when... Or they'll use careful wording to mislead you. Like when the CFO says, we're going to start putting first-party games on PlayStation and Nintendo, they were formerly considered competitors. And Phil Spencer does an interview with Windows Central and says, we have no plans of putting Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo. It's a total looky-loo. It's a total shell game, right? He makes you look the other way. You're like, oh yeah, everything's fine. He doesn't answer the question about first-party games. I'll never know why he wasn't asked about that, but he wasn't, okay? It was probably off the table, to be honest. I would think. But that's what happens. The news hits and it's happening. Okay, now, fast forward. What happened the following year? Leakers were saying it's being discussed. It's being considered. Everything's on the table. And what happened? There's immediate dismissal and denial from the hardcore loyalists, those who are, in many cases, just parroting the marketing of Xbox. They're like, this is never going to happen. Like good little soldiers, they run out and they help calm everybody down. And then Phil Spencer comes in their wake and says, just 4 games, and they all celebrate. Now, the more astute fans saw through it. some of you Xbox fans were astute enough to say, this man's playing a game. He's playing a word game. And I tried to tell people at the time, I said, it's always about what Phil doesn't say. It's always about what he doesn't say. It was how the question was perfectly phrased so that he could say just 4 games. He could say it's not Indiana Jones in Starfield, and then look what happened. Indiana Jones makes the leap. Allegedly, from everything we're hearing, Starfield will eventually make the leap, right? I will have my day. I will have my day. It will eventually happen. I was mercilessly attacked for saying that I had heard that Starfield's going. We are here once again on the precipice of what seems like something big changing. And what happens? There are breadcrumbs, there are smoke signals, there are things afoot that don't seem quite right. You see the gaming system getting pulled from regions. You see the gaming system getting pulled from shelves in retailers. We're hearing other retailers are going to be pulling it from their shelves. That's a sign of trouble. Then you hear from a very reliable leaker that more retailers are going to be pulling Xbox from their shelves, and Xbox putting Call of Duty on Game Pass was a disaster. It's why Game Pass has gone up. But more than that, let me just show you what Sneaker said. And I believe we're falling for a looky-loo all over again. I believe it. I believe we're falling for a looky-loo all over again. Xbox is reframing the discussion around canceled plans, which is not what Sneakers said. I think that's by design. The way that they do astroturfing as a company, the way they use people to manipulate the conversation about their brand, it wouldn't surprise me at all if what Sneakers said was very quickly spun up into they've canceled all their hardware plans on purpose. I mean that. Conspiracy hat all the way on, tinfoil hat all the way on. I think that was by design. They wanted you looking at that headline. Why? Because they could deny it. They could deny it. They could walk out and say, oh no, we're actively investing in hardware. That headline's false. Do you want to know why they want you focusing on that? Because they don't want you focusing on what he actually said. It's another looky-loo. It's another game. It's the same thing Phil did when the CFO said what he said. I'm going to read this in just a second. Johnny always comes in with 53 months on purple. We're exactly a 10 bomb away from the 50 mark. I'll owe you guys another member at 50. Somebody slam this home and win it for your platform, and I'll gift a member to that platform. $2 super chat from True Witty. I honestly don't think Phil is in charge. Satya is. I've said that for a while now. Satya is fully in charge. Yeah, Satya is fully in charge. Okay. This is what Sneakers actually said. He didn't say that the plans are canceled. And Behemoth comes in with the 10 bomb for YouTube and lands a plane on 50. Thank you so much, sir. Let me go ahead and I'm going to do that now. I'm going to start paying what I owe as soon as I owe it. Thank you so much, Behemoth. Guys, enjoy those gifted members. Thanks so much for being here. Click the like button. Click subscribe. Do all the things. We have a family-friendly stream here, and I stream Monday through Friday. All right? So make sure you're here. Okay, so this is what Sneaker says. And this first part's really important. This is really important. Without going into too much detail. Okay? There's a reason that these guys are careful in how they talk about things and what they're willing to say. They don't want to lose their sources or blow their sources up. So they have to be careful. All right? Not long after the last round of layoffs, the next one should be coming in Q1 of 26, by the way, and it's going to be just as massive as the last one. Some rumblings out of Xbox started coming out that were a little hard to believe. Okay, so, again, they don't want you looking at this. They want you looking at headlines about hardware's canceled and then updates. No, it's not. That's what they want you focusing on. It's just like what Phil did last time with Windows Central. oh, games are going to go to PlayStation and Nintendo, and then they circulate a headline that says, we have no plans to put Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo, and everybody calms down. They're doing the same thing again. Don't let them get away with it, okay? Keep the fires burning on the actual topic, not this looky-loo crap that they pulled. This is the topic. The ramifications of the COD Game Pass gambit not working out were just starting to get properly measured, but the thing that really stuck out to me was that suddenly really concrete plans for actual Microsoft Xbox hardware went from being definitive to up in the air, which was really startling given that this thing was meant to be out relatively soon. It was one of those situations where despite folks being told, hey, we're going to pull the trigger on this in 2026, the steps you would need to take to lead up to delivering a new console gen weren't being met. Lots of things that were sure things started getting pushed. The Costco retailer pulling Xbox, and apparently they are one of many that we'll learn about soon, told me all I needed to know. Okay, this is the story. That's the story. That paragraph is the story. The story is not, oh, they canceled their hardware plans. If you think that's the story, you're letting Microsoft off easy. They get to walk out and do some generic corpo speak, press clipping where they're like, oh, we're actively investing in hardware. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, see, they're not canceling their hardware plans. Jez says that the AMD requiring 10 million units isn't true. I have no beef with Jez. I like Jez. I don't think his sources are as reliable as Kepler's sources. In the realm of hardware, I think Kepler's sources are way more reliable. I have no issue with Jez at all. He's only as good as his sources in this situation, and I think a lot of his sources get info really late. I also don't think they have all of the info that someone like Kepler has. Kepler's been incredibly consistent with hardware leaks. So for Kepler to say that, it's like Kepler's not in some console fight or some console war. Kepler just really just repeats the things that he's heard about hardware. That's all he's ever done. So I trust Kepler's sources more, and I'm being very careful in how I talk about this. I trust Kepler's sources more than Jez's sources. I have no issue with Jez. People go after him because of his tweets. That's fine. He stepped in it. He knows he stepped in it when he said, this is just fanboy hopium. Yeah, okay. Everybody's going to have their moment, and that was certainly one of his. Okay. But, yeah, I liked what Post Up said. I actually replied to Post Up's tweet. I did. I thought it was a good tweet. I thought it really drove home the pattern angle. I did. Let me just go to my replies, because I was replying to a lot of people. I was a little active on Twitter. This is what Post Up said, and I've never had any issues with Post Up either. We follow each other. He's never been unkind to me. He says, rumor comes out Xbox is going third party. Xbox Content Creators Media deny. Xbox Content Creators Media make fun of people who believe the rumors. Phil Spencer, only 4 games, nothing beyond that. Xbox Content Creators and Media move goalposts, justify the 4 games chosen, and fall in line with the messaging. Xbox releases major franchises like Forza, goes full third party. Xbox Creators and Media. We knew this would happen. Move goalposts, justify releases on other platforms, falls in line with Microsoft messaging. Rumor comes out that hardware is dead. I don't have to keep going. You get the picture. Preach! Tell them, Post Up. Tell them. Preach. That is a wonderful timeline, like, track record to read through, to be like, you don't see, like, we went from deny to, well, we knew this was coming, and this is good for the industry, and this is where things are going, and, PlayStation's going to have to do the same thing, and, like, so we're in the same boat. Same boat, different hole in the bottom. No, there's no water coming in. No. You're just hearing waves rippling. There's no water coming in the boat. It's like, yes, there is. It's right there. Like, we've been here before. And here's a really, really good tweet as well. All right. on Sneaker's track record. Sneaker's track record for anyone pretending he's a random. He called Xbox games going to PlayStation months before the business update. He said next-gen Xbox wouldn't even be traditional console Warbox. I'm not sure why I said Warbox. More niche ecosystem driven. He leaked the OEM third-party hardware path. Warned retailers were stepping back from Xbox shelf space before Costco. Described the handheld as a Windows-first Xbox-wrapped Steam Deck style device before the Asus ROG Ally X was announced. He was vouched for by Tom Warren as knowing a lot of what goes on internally at Xbox. Sneakers has a very good track record. He's got good sources. People are only as good as their sources, and I'm here to tell you, his sources seem to be very reliable. Reforge Gaming, when he was writing that monologue. That's good. That's a good tweet. That's a good tweet. Ghost of Yote has sold 2 million copies so far. It's off to a strong start. Where's MBG getting his number, though? I see people citing sales numbers for Yote, and I'm not sure where they're getting them. Got it on Reddit. Source is Director of Sales Operations for PlayStation China. So Sales Operations for PlayStation China has claimed they've already sold 2 million copies. That's a lot. That's really good for Yote. For that budget and that team. Wait. They're saying Colt is is this real? Colt Eastwood's apologizing? I'm just going to listen to the audio. We're just going to listen to the audio of this. Hang on, let me pause my music. This is a minute.
Watching them go from an Xbox One X to the Xbox Series console and then waiting several years before all of these promised games would come out, some of them still have not seen the true light of day. It's something I guess I should just apologize for. If you're one of those that went and bought an Xbox One X or an Xbox Series console because I said it'd be amazing and there'd be all these great games, I hope you did enjoy it as much as you could, and I hope you're having a great time with it now. And I still think there's 2 more years of that generation left over. So I don't know if you're asking, but personally, do I think that Xbox is going to cancel their next generation console? I've been reporting on games. I've made some big falters, like getting excited about that one singular mission in Redfall when I did the preview, and then to find out the game was just, that was the best it could possibly be. And it's ridiculous to sit here and apologize for things that we've covered, but this is where it is. And I don't know. Yes, I do think that Xbox would easily cancel their next generation console.
Yeah, I mean, I actually appreciate and respect that. I mean, I think it was one of the reasons why I quickly changed the way I talked about Xbox, because I went from being a believer to being like, what the frick are you guys doing? Like it's to me, it seemed very quick. It did. And so I can appreciate and respect somebody being like, man, listen, I've been covering these guys for a while, and if you were going on my word and my excitement and you bought an Xbox, he's got to, you'd have to feel a certain kind of way. You'd have to feel a certain kind of way if you were like, listen, I believe in this brand. I think these guys are going to do it. I think they're going to deliver, and then they don't. You'd feel like, man, a lot of people trusted me, you know? This guy says, Reforge Gaming. Reforge Gaming, watching Bungie burn to the ground as a former Destiny player and watching Xbox fall apart as a Day One series player. I mean, I'm not celebrating the downfall of any of it. I mean, maybe a little bit internally, I'm celebrating what's happening to Bungie because they deserve every square inch of what's coming their way after they did what they did to me and others. But, you know, Xbox as a company deserves their comeuppance for misleading people for sure. Yo, what's good, Ginger? Hang on. Algarian with 28 months says, with Satya and Nadella stepping aside, what do you think new leadership will do? I don't know. Who said Satya is stepping aside? I didn't see that. And in 49 months of a member plus from Ginger Prime, bumps the line to 51. We're halfway to being on pace. We want to end Monday at 100. And we'll do a scary game. We'll do a spooky game Friday night. You guys can get a doubleheader and get a Saturday stream as well if we hit stretch goal this week. This would be a great day to really get ahead. Here's the thing with the Redfall situation, Andrew Wilkins. Okay, here's the situation. I'm not willing to fillet anybody who went to the preview event. I'm not willing to fillet anybody because even Matty Plays came back from that event and was like, he had concerns, but it seemed like they played a vertical slice that really falsely represented the game. It felt intentional. I don't know. People don't come back from preview events and they're usually not very negative. They're usually very positive, and it sounded to me like they played a vertical slice of the game that was pretty misrepresentative of the final product. So, I'm not interested in receipt pulling or going after anybody. Yes, that is true. He made a montage. This is true. And I remember even looking at the montage and saying I thought there was problematic AI behavior in the montage of Redfall. I tried to draw people's attention to Redfall pretty early on. I said something's not right. Something is amiss here. Microsoft shuffles top leadership, elevates Judson Althoff to CEO of commercial business. Where Satya is stepping up to Microsoft AI. Oh, okay. Yeah, it won't make much of a difference. I don't think Microsoft corporate's going to change their opinion much on what they should be doing with Xbox. The new CEO is for commercial division, which is Office apps. Oh, so just shuffling them to different particulars, right? Like one's going AI, the other's going for commercial division. Yeah, that's Microsoft as a corporate entity. I don't think is going to change their opinion of what needs to happen with Xbox. I think what Sneakers said is what's coming. I do. Like if you read the conclusion of his statement here, he says, to sum it up, the future of Xbox is software publishing, which is significantly honed focus on profitable IPs, COD, WoW, Minecraft, Candy Crush, Forza. Cloud gaming being the home of the Xbox platform, transitioning Game Pass into basically becoming the point of entry subscription for xCloud access, which will continue to drive its price tag higher, by the way. They are not done there yet either. Okay? So like, this is another part of the Sneakers leak that I think people need to pay attention to. He says more layoffs are coming. All right. He says the ripple of COD on Game Pass has caused a whole gamut of changes and questions internally. And now he's saying Game Pass is going to get more expensive again, releasing, and they're going to shift into a software strategy. So it's like, again, that's what Xbox and Microsoft want you focusing on. They want you focusing on they've canceled their hardware plans. And they're like, no, we haven't. And then that's now the new headline. I'm telling you, they're masterful. They are absolutely masterful at manipulating the public and what they think of their brand. They're exceptional at it. It's at some level, I respect it. I watch them do it and I'm like, it's impressive. It's truly impressive what they get away with. I want you to think about all the stuff that's transpired these last couple of years and look how long it took for certain things to really settle into the hive mind of people to be like, yeah, they're literally just going to put their games everywhere now, huh? It took how long for people to wake up and realize? It took like 2 years. It took 2 whole years. Last year in the summer, somebody was like, no. Halo, Forza, and Gears are untouchable. They won't go to PlayStation. And I remember saying to that person, I said, why? When you call everything an Xbox, how can you have an Xbox exclusive? They chopped the ground underneath all of those tenets of the brand, and you're like, no. They're still going to hold on to the idea of an Xbox exclusive. What the heck is an Xbox exclusive if everything's an Xbox? This is an Xbox exclusive. What's that mean? Everything's an Xbox. You said my tablet, you said my TV, you said my laptop was an Xbox. Rambling Entertained with 3 months of member says, I don't trust Microsoft's words. I trust that they want to monetize the console audience until they push them to cloud PC, which starts in poorer countries. Thank you for 3 months. By the way, guys, use the upgrade command on YouTube. We need a bunch of people to upgrade to Member Plus. We need to get that number back up. That is how I do this. Like the gifteds, this is people being generous. That loyal group of folks paying for Member Plus, we got to get that back up to 600, and then we'll celebrate with an IRL stream. True SSJ Havoc with 35 months and a VIP. People should go back and watch your older videos and see you wasn't just console warring. You always made takes based on the market put forth before us and common sense. Now look where we are. Jeesh. And I'm going to bump the line by 1. You got to be at Member Plus or a VIP to count in the total. Here's the crazy thing, True SSJ. I went back and just was like watching my show where they had decided to put Call of Duty on Game Pass. And I said, I think Phil Spencer fought for this. I think he fought for Call of Duty on Game Pass. I said, I also think Microsoft said, okay, fine, but we're going to analyze that fiscally in the future. I was on the phone with Tim Dog yesterday. It was the first time he and I had ever spoken. We'd chatted and DM'd and everything. And he publicly apologized to me last year. And we were DMing, and he was like, listen, I'll give you the scoop, but you just call me. So I called him. He doesn't want like a paper trail of some of the stuff that he knows. And he literally confirmed that. He said that that's what happened. That like Xbox basically fought, like Phil fought with Microsoft to put Call of Duty on Game Pass. And now it's been fiscally analyzed, and they're like, "This is a disaster. We lost like $300 million in this deal," which is why they're raising the prices of They're raising the price of Game Pass, and they're doing it just before Call of Duty comes out because they know they're about to take another bath. They're about to take another bath. They're about to lose money again, and they know it. Which is why when Sneakers says this isn't the last time that Game Pass price will go up, it's probably true. They're going to take another loss. They're going to take another hit. It may be more profitable now with less subscribers at the extra 10. It can't be more profitable, though. Thanks for covering this. Listen, a lot of you guys were voicing your frustration last week when I said I didn't want to cover this kind of stuff anymore. Right? I was like, I just don't want to. You guys made some fair pushback, and you said, listen, man, your coverage of ABK, your coverage of Xbox shifting strategy and making these changes helped me as a consumer. I mulled that around, and I thought, this is too big to not cover, and if I feel it is significant enough that you guys need to hear my take, we need to put a video, we need to cover it, then I will do it. But it's not going to be as frequently as it once was. It's been 2 months. It's been 2 months since I covered Xbox, and if I can take another 2-month hiatus from talking about the brand, I will. Although I don't think it's going to result in a bunch of bad faith people coming in and being nasty, because I don't think anybody has a fight in them anymore. Why would you even bother defending the brand at this point? Alex says, with a gifted member 21-month renewal, I'll give the guy points for being honest. Same with Maddie Plays, and I feel for them. They wanted Xbox to do better. I mean, goodness, the price hike. I've always thought, and I said this after the Redfall situation, I've always thought that Maddie was very trustworthy and made good content, and his coverage of the Game Pass price increases and everything that happened last week, I thought he did an excellent job. It was good. It was authentic. It was real. And, that kind of thing can burn bridges. The way he spoke about it could burn a bridge. He could lose access. I mean, I'm being dead honest with you. Matty could lose access and not get invited to stuff in the future after what he did, after how he covered it. I think that'd be really unfortunate because I think he does good work, and I think he does good, honest work. And I think that the way he covered the situation and all this stuff last week, I think they might say no, take him off all the lists. Because, man, he took some swings. He called it cowardly. He talked about how the leadership wasn't out there talking. They duck and cover and they hide. Buddy, that's the kind of stuff to get you taken right off a list. You know, I respected it. I thought it was good. I thought they were good videos. I thought they were good videos. I'm totally invested into Apple Music, says Zubair. Have been for years. I'm trying to imagine how high they would have to jack the price before I tapped out. I don't have a music library anymore. They've got me. Oh, for sure. For sure. I canceled Game Pass, and I quickly realized, because what did I do? Well, I shifted my purchases and my library investment to PlayStation this gen. So now I don't have anything on my Xbox for the most part. Nothing new. It was a Game Pass machine. It was a Game Pass machine. And the minute you cancel, it's like, well, like Mighty Keith's sketch on this was brilliant. It was like, let's play. He's like, you haven't bought a game in 5 years? He's like, it's the best value in gaming. I love Keith, by the way. Mighty Keith he's hilarious. And, you know, to me, that was a wake up, even to myself, about, wow, look at what happened even to me as a consumer the last 4 to 5 years of my Xbox experience. Look at what happened. I didn't build a library. I have no games on that system. And the minute I canceled Game Pass, that value of that system plummeted. It went right back down. It was like, what am I going to do with this thing? What's the point of it now? Anyone keeping Game Pass at the $30 level? Yeah, I don't know if there's anybody here even staying. I think pretty much anybody who's spoken about it recently is like, yeah, I canceled. Might as well sell your Xbox and get what you can from it. Now it's just become a Fortnite box. My daughter is able to play Fortnite on my account and have all my stuff. And then my son plays on my wife's account. And then if I'm playing on another device, we're covered. Like, that's the only real reason we still have it at this point. There's no reason for me to have a Series X. It's like, that's it. It's a Fortnite machine. Brett with 28 months and a member plus. Thanks for everything. As always, Lono. Best gaming coverage on this platform. Thank you so much, Brett. I appreciate that. Mighty Keith says, a while ago, Xbox fanboys called me a Sony pony because I make vids making fun of Xbox more than I do PlayStation. I told them, well, because Xbox screws up more. I told them I was concerned about the state of Xbox, and they said it was me hating. Well, turns out I was right. Same, Keith. Same. Like, that literally... That literally was how I felt. I felt like, what is happening? Like, when I covered Destiny full-time, and I would be very critical of something that Destiny did, what was interesting was I always got a lot of support for that. Stone Spire bumps the line. I know what he's going to do. He's going to bump the line one more time. He's hoping for the first 20 gifted bomb of the week. We haven't had one yet. He's going to set it up. The next milestone is 75. So somebody get ready. Gear it up, wind it up, slam this home. Stone Spire's going to do one more single. He's the man. There it is. Boom. 55. This is your chance, Twitch. This is your chance. You're behind. It's 45 to 10. And so I remember being so confused because when I was critical of Destiny, the Destiny community always liked that. They were like, thank you Thank you for holding Bungie accountable. Thank you for being critical of these bad decisions. As a longtime Xbox fan, I literally 10 years ago started my streaming career with the Kinect camera and Ori and the Blind Forest. I didn't have a PlayStation until my community sent me one because they wanted to play Destiny with me on PlayStation. So I ended up with 6 characters and I had 3 on there. And I didn't start playing PlayStation games until Spider-Man and God of War 2018. The first PlayStation game I ever played, I had to borrow my brother's PS3 to play The Last of Us. And then I still never really was gravitating towards their games, okay? So then I played God of War 2018, and I played Spider-Man 2, and then I played Uncharted 4, right? So when we walked into this gen, and I started being critical of Xbox, and I started getting, hate, and the first time somebody called me a pony, I was like, what the heck is that? I didn't even understand what they were saying. I was like, why are you saying that? Because I'm coming from 5 years of Destiny coverage. I didn't cover any of this platform stuff. The only thing I ever said about Xbox was I thought they were a sleeping giant, and I thought they were blurring the line between console and PC. I said in 2017, the language they were using, I was like, it sounds to me like Xbox wants to blur the line between console and PC. So in the future, when you think about Xbox, I said, you're going to be buying a weak Xbox or a PC, and everything in between, they're going to be like, yes, that's what Xbox is. It's remarkable how accurate I was in 2017. I was an Xbox fan, and I saw the future of this is an Xbox marketing. In 2017, I shot a bullseye and said, I think they're blurring the line between PC and console so that they can say all these things are Xboxes. And the reason I thought they were doing that is I thought they'll go to developers and say, when you make a game for the Xbox platform, look how big the platform is. That's what I thought their goal was. To a certain extent, I think that has been their goal. Excuse me. So they just went in a very different direction with the hardware. So the hardware wasn't there benefiting from this goal when they did the Series S. So the minute they did the Series S, and we got about 2 years into this gen, I was like, this is a problem. I was in this community that we have here. I remember being like one of the first people to say, I was like, I think the Series S is a self-made Trojan horse. I said, I think they've sabotaged themselves because you have developers that are like, that thing's going to be a serious problem. And it started to rear its head over the years. And then they started doing the acquisition thing. What's really interesting is after they acquired Bethesda, if you go back and watch my content, I was like, this is it. This is Xbox's turning of the page. They're going to start to have all these killer exclusives. They're going to be in a better position. Then they went after ABK. And I remember first looking at ABK thinking, well, this is going to be really significant. This is going to mean a bunch of exclusives for Xbox. But then the more I looked at it, the more I thought, oh, this is actually going to be terrible. This is going to be really, really bad for the market. This is not going to be good for the consumers. This is not going to be good for who was that? Oh, cute. Neighbor kids coming over. I got a Ring notification. Excuse me. And then I remember when my coverage turned critical, and I started being critical of the acquisition, and I had a couple of video tweets go viral. That's when all of a sudden I had like a lot of hate brought my way from that side of things, from that side of the aisle. Mighty Keith is one of the few people who still remembers that the console war started as kids in the lunchroom cracking jokes. He's still telling jokes. Some of these people made it their life. Yo, what's good, Mike? On a mic, how are you? I bought the Series S and I feel ripped off. Oh, Series X. Fear of the Flesh says, what's an Xbox fanboy? You mean general Xbox fans or players? What exactly did I sow? Yeah, I mean, this is one of the challenges with this conversation. And I was guilty of this for a long time. I would say things like, you Xbox guys. And I've tried to be more careful with my verbiage now. I've tried to be more careful. Because I think there's a distinct difference between somebody who's like, hey, I'm an Xbox fan and I love Game Pass. Okay. We'll put that person kind of like right here. I would say they're fairly normal, well-adjusted person, and they like Xbox, and they, and that's what they like. Speaking of hate, did you see my guy Next Gen AK featured you in the first 5 seconds of his video? I didn't understand what the point of that was. Is he unaware that I play a ridiculous amount of games? I didn't understand why I caught strays in a video about Xbox. It made no sense. Like, they used AI. It was kind of funny. They used AI to put a baby in the chair, in my studio here, and said something about, like, doesn't play games, and then something about PlayStation crying or something. And it didn't make any sense. I was like, what do I have to do with this? I haven't covered it. Up to that point, I hadn't covered it. And secondly, to invoke the notion that I don't play games, I was like, homie, do you know who I am? Have you looked at how many games and how many hours I've clocked this year? That lie has been debunked 10 times over. I mean, by all means, you want to continue to perpetuate a demonstrable lie, go right ahead. I think it says more about you than me. I don't give a frick if you think I don't play games. Or if you want to, like, AI impose a baby into my studio. Go ahead. It doesn't speak well of you to lie about another man. I think that's embarrassing behavior. I don't get why people continue to propagate just complete and utter falsehood about me. Like, 5 seconds of research and you're like, that guy plays games all the time. What are you talking about? I don't get it. In any case, the reason it's hard to talk about this, and that's kind of why people can't resist just lying about you. It's like, okay, he has blonde hair. What would be the point in me saying that? It's stupid. You can tell by watching the video he doesn't have blonde hair. That's as stupid as claiming I don't play games. So you have people that are just normal fans. They like Xbox, right? They like Game Pass. Okay. Then you have people that are like the diehards. Okay. They're the diehards. They're ride or die. They love the platform no matter what. I think you're always going to have fans like that. I don't necessarily think they're toxic. They're just ride or die. Okay. All the way over here, you have what I would label as a fanatic. And the fanatics were the ones that cheered for the acquisition, slanted everything, misrepresented everything, dismissed everything. Any of this stuff that came out, they were out there on the front lines going to war for Xbox, okay? So the difficulty in this discussion is when you're like, oh, you reap what you sow, you're really only addressing the fanatics. There were plenty of people that were like, yeah, I love Xbox and Game Pass, but they weren't necessarily out there being a zealot or a fanatic. They were just like, yeah, I like Xbox, and there's nothing wrong with liking Xbox. So that's the difficulty in these conversations is you usually have a very small group of people that are the quote-unquote fanatics, and then everybody else is just like, yeah, I've just been with Xbox for a really long time, and they feel like they get kind of swept up when you talk about those groups. So that's why I started saying, you bleed green, guys. And people are like, you're insulting and you're throwing insults. If you're that sensitive, you should retire from the internet, okay? The reason I say bleed green, guys, is I'm trying to address that particular group, right? Yeah, the guys that were like flirting with Lulu Chang on Twitter, like, you're the bleed green guys. You guys are a little weird out here, okay? What do you think of Lulu Chang now? How'd that acquisition go? So to me, it's hard to talk about this because you accidentally sweep up a lot of just completely innocent fans that are like, I didn't mislead anybody. I didn't cheer for an acquisition. I just like Xbox. There's a lot of innocent people caught in a crap situation. This is true. Without knowing it, Lono, you peed in a lot of Xbox fanboys and PC Xbox support sweeties. And the fact that you tried to present the info without the falsifiable normal console war talking points, you've made some enemies online that see you as a threat to their income and revenue stream. I would say if your income and your revenue stream is so easily threatened, it wasn't that strong to begin with. Sorry. Not sorry. Like, if you literally think me sitting in a chair, voicing my opinion, and doing what I felt was facts-based coverage, investigative coverage into the ABK situation, and combing over PDFs, and trying to draw attention to the reality of what this deal was going to do, if that's a threat to your income, and that's a threat to your revenue, buddy, your business model is weak. Yeah, I'm not a threat to anybody's revenue. I'm not a threat to anybody's business model. And if that is a threat to your business model, then maybe ask why. Like, why would that be a threat? Why? I play on Xbox. I think Game Pass is still worth it. Only 1 to 2 months a year to play first-party games. Rest of the time will be backlog. My fanboy a regular fan? It sounds like you're an intelligent fan that's going to make the best of a bad situation. Like, it sounds like you're going to make the best of a bad situation. You'll subscribe, right? 2 months or so, that's $60, and you'll play a crap ton of games, and then you'll cancel. Right? That's the best of a bad situation. Because, like, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, this has become too expensive to carry every month, so I'm gonna reassess when I sign up. So what you'll do is you'll wait for like this year. What you would have done is, like, you would have waited, like, Avowed comes out, South of Midnight comes out, Oblivion remake comes out, Doom the Dark Ages comes out, Expedition 33's on there, Silk Song's on there, and you're like, okay, now I'm signing up. And you'd play through all those games, and then you'd cancel. I would say that's not being a fan, just a smart consumer. Well, I would say you're probably still a fan of Xbox if you're riding with them through this storm. I would say you're more than just a smart consumer. I would say there's some fandom going on, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's okay. I will willingly admit I've become a big fan of PlayStation and PlayStation Studios. Why? Because their games are incredible. If people want to turn that into, like, a pejorative, I guess let them. Like, liking something and saying you're a fan of something is not a problem. I just don't have time to play all these games, says Ginger, and my thing outside of cloud, if there aren't a lot of games the kids are interested outside of Fortnite, Minecraft, and the Nintendo stuff that I buy, meaning the value proposition just isn't there with the higher tier stuff, I might roll back to premium or even essential. Ginger, it was a very weird experience. I've been on Game Pass for such a long time. When my daughter went to play Tetris Effect and she couldn't, I was like, sorry, girl, I canceled Game Pass. And I've not been building a library on the Series X because of this way the gen is gone. And I was like, that was a really weird experience. It really was, to be like, oh yeah, I don't have Game Pass. I'd had it for such a long time, it just became like this assumed reality in the home. You know, it was just an assumed part of our gaming experience that, you know, you turn on the Xbox and there's just a bunch of games there to play. And the minute you cancel Game Pass, your library looks a bit different. You know? How much is Tetris Effect? Oh, I don't know. She didn't want it bad enough for me to buy it. She just wanted to dabble. She's like, yeah, I just want to play it for a little bit. I remember liking it. And I was like, yeah, I'd have to buy it. She's like, oh, don't buy it. She's like, I'll just play Kirby. And then she played Fortnite. So, like, she was like, you know, she's 11. She's 11, so she's just like, yeah, you don't need to buy it. She was just wanting to try it out. You have no issue with the rental service, which is what Game Pass is. I mean, I would say yes. That people, it wouldn't surprise me at all if this price structural change for them, it changes the way that people interact with Game Pass. So like they're going to treat it like that. Like they'll sign up for it for like the last 2 months of the year, and then they'll cancel again. How many first party games have you bought for your Series X? Starfield. I bought the collector's edition of Starfield for my Xbox Series X. And I think that's it. There might have been something else I bought so I could play early. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember. I basically just stopped. I didn't see any reason in buying games for my Series X. It slowly became a console that I don't even turn on. Like my kiddo uses it. I went from playing completely on Xbox to a little bit of PlayStation to I ended up on PC because I wanted 60 FPS in Destiny 2 and Fortnite, and then Xbox was like my homecoming. I wanted to go back to console. I didn't like PC gaming. I didn't like it. Didn't you buy Redfall? Did I buy Redfall? Did you have to buy it to play it early? If I bought any other first-party games, it was only to play them early, would be my assumption. It's been such a long time. Is Sekiro worth playing? I think Sekiro is the best FromSoft game. I think it's the best melee-based combat game in existence. I think Sekiro is the magnum opus of melee-based games, and I think it's FromSoft's best game. Did I buy... Oh, I bought Hellblade 2 on PC because I wanted 60 FPS and I really wanted to play it. Yeah, I bought Hellblade 2. That's true. Yeah. So very, very few games, a handful of games I've actually purchased from Xbox. Yeah, but Xbox was supposed to be my homecoming. I didn't like gaming on PC. I didn't. I remember seeing the Project Scarlet marketing, and I remember being very excited. In 2019, I was at E3, and when I saw the marketing, I was geeking out. I was like, oh my gosh, they said 120 FPS. They're finally... See, the thing that I was so annoyed with, the hardware up to that point, they kept stressing resolution. And I was a firm believer in 60 FPS. You should be talking about 60 FPS. So when they said 120, I got like really excited. So Xbox Series X was supposed to be my homecoming. I was coming back to consoles, baby. I was sick of PC land. I didn't like it. I didn't like all of the tinkering and the tweaking and the problems that came with it. I didn't like it. So the disappointment in this gen was very personal. It wasn't what people have really painted me as. You know, there's been a concerted effort by folks to really paint me as something that I'm not. I'm very familiar with this. I don't get why that's the track that people take, but that's the track that people take, is, you know, just to lie and misrepresent somebody and call them names. And to me, it was always about, I felt like there was a significant betrayal of what they had promised this gen, and I think some people are finally waking up to that reality. I agree that it's FromSoft's second best game, Bloodborne being number 1, but the best melee game overall. There are people that disagree with me and think that belongs to Neo. But I've played a lot of games in that vein. Now, I haven't played Bloodborne because it's not 60, and I haven't played Neo. But as far as a melee-based combat game, I think Sekiro is the king. I think it's better than Dark Souls 3. I think it's better than Elden Ring. I think it's better than Ghost of Tsushima. I think it's fabulous. Let me tell you, Yote's amazing. I know. I know. It's wonderful. It's hard. I'm going to tell you guys right now. It's hard to do my job right now. It's like, I don't want to boot up and top Xbox. I just want to play Yote all day. But I can't do that. I got a job to do. I got to hang out with y'all. We got to put on a show, right? The channel's gotta get content. I can't just sit and play all day. I can't. Do I want to coast on easy through Icky DLC or jump into Yote? I think you could really enjoy Icky on easy because to me, it's more about the vibe, the aesthetic, and the story. Ikishima's not really about running the combat gamut one more time. This is just my opinion, so other people can disagree. I don't think you're going to really be doing yourself a disservice if you just drop it to easy and blitz through Ikishima. Just enjoy the setting, the tone, the vibe, and the story. I think the story is the most important part. It puts a nice bow on Jin Sakai's story. So yeah, and then you can just jump into Yote. If you don't, you'll probably never have a desire to go back to Ikishima. Yote is such an elevation of the first game. It is such an elevation. Way more of an elevation than I expected. Are you surprised they rolled Fortnite Crew into premium instead of a WoW subscription? No, because they're attempting to promote microtransactions, and a WoW subscription rolling in wouldn't do that as much as Fortnite. Not to bring up the past, because we've had their disagreements before, but given what we know now, how much of the situation falls at the feet of the people who defended a $1 Game Pass and not paying for games? Well, this is something that I don't necessarily think is productive. Okay, I don't think it's productive to go on a receipt pulling tour, a blame game tour, a name calling tour. You'll notice I didn't do any of that today. I didn't. I'm not pulling anybody up and calling them names, making fun of them, pulling receipts. There's one person in particular that it takes restraint to not just take them to the threshing floor, especially with, how they consistently lied about me, and, it's why I wrote the song Smiling Face, okay? It takes some restraint, but I just don't think there's nothing good comes from that. Nothing good comes from that. It's just petty. Let them wallow in the bed they made. I don't need to say anything. Lono, aren't you surprised they rolled Fortnite Crew into premium instead of WoW? I just answered that. I think that one promotes microtransactions over the other. Maybe you didn't hear me respond to that. I did. If they added it as an option, like I could pick between the Fortnite sub, WoW sub, this sub, I'd be all for it. Jez seems to think that might be happening. Maybe. The poorly aged criticisms of Lena Khan have been fun to see. Yes. She literally did her job and took up for the consumer and took up for the market, and she was attacked. And she was right. WoW has a ton of microtransactions, though. Yeah, but the crew puts you in a funnel of microtransactions. Like a sub to WoW, I don't necessarily know if it puts you in a funnel for microtransactions. I don't know. I'm just firing from the hip on that one. There's a big part of me. There's a big part of me that just thinks that they gain more by pushing people into Fortnite spending than they would by pushing people into WoW. Like, what are the odds of a console player getting into WoW and spending a lot of money? Probably less than what you would gain from Fortnite. Does that make sense? Like, if you're thinking about the console players, I don't know. That just makes sense to me. Oh, you were behind, Dark Taco. Yeah. I answered your question, so when you re-pushed it, I was like, I figured there was some delay or something going on. Guys, really quickly, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button. Consider upgrading your membership. A lot of you guys get gifteds every month, and we've been trying to hit 600 people at Member Plus and above. You can help us with that. You can type !upgrade in the chat, and that'll help you upgrade to Member Plus. See my last comment, says Corey. No, as always, you've been a class act with the situation, but the question is more geared toward the concept that Doc Dark said. This makes perfect business sense. It's almost irrefutable at this point. You've lost me. What was he talking about when he said that? What makes good business sense? Like what was he speaking about when he said that? We used to pay for Xbox Live and got nothing for it. So is Game Pass that bad? Huh? What do you mean you paid for Xbox Live and got nothing for it? I'm not sure what you mean. You paid for a service. You weren't getting nothing. I'm confused. Like, I don't know. At this point, if you think Game Pass is still worth it, by all means. I'm not going to sit here and try and convince somebody to cancel their Game Pass. You've got to decide like what the best way to interact with it is. Oh, and there's a double. Arrow decided to upgrade to Member Plus. Boom, boom. Just like that, we're at 57. Thank you so much for doing that. That is an enormous way to support the channel. It might seem like no big deal. You're like, $6 a month? Really? Yes, really. It is a huge help to what we do. Massively. If I could get more people to do that, man, that is a lot of YouTubers started pushing their Patreons recently for good reason. YouTube has really harmed a lot of what we built, and a really great way to kind of rebalance some of these scales is to just do $6 a month on a membership instead of I'm not trying to send you to a Patreon or any of that. I don't want to do that. We try to keep everything here. So you get morning coffee, green room, and my Discord when you pick up a membership like that. Paying for online is the dumbest idea ever. That's what he means by you get nothing for it. I mean, to argue that paying for online is the dumbest idea ever, you weren't paying for online. You were paying for a whole suite of features. They built an entire party system so you didn't have to rely on game audio. Do you know how many games over the years that had terrible in-game audio for voice chat, and then Xbox's party chat was so much better and had such better quality? You had your friends list, you had your achievements, you could like compare your stuff to your friends. It was this whole suite of things. Like, I don't think that was like, quote unquote, the dumbest thing ever. Just because one company does it for free, right? Like Steam's just like, yeah, here you go, here's all your stuff. The most common voice protocol that people use on their PC for conversations is Discord. Why? You don't have to answer. We all know why. Because game chat in a lot of these games sucks. So you go to another source for your ability to talk with people. I never thought it was that big of a deal that they charged for that. It was like it's a whole suite of features that they built for you, infrastructure so you can have party chat and send invites and get groups together. And I know you're like, well, they could do it all for free. And it's like, I mean, I guess they could do it all for free, but do you want it to be a quality feature set? Do you want it to be a quality service? Or do you want it to be free? I remember when MLB was on Game Pass and people loved the game on Xbox, but as soon as they pulled it, Xbox fans were like, I like the game, but I'm not paying for it. Well, and you're saying Xbox fans. I mean, some Xbox fans probably said that. Is Discord free? Yeah, it's free. My point is, though, is that you're going to a secondary solution because in-game voice chat is so inconsistent. Xbox Party Chat was so much better than in-game voice chat. It was also better than PlayStation's Party Chat. PlayStation's Party Chat was notorious for echo and all these. Their audio codec was terrible, and it was because they shipped it with like an earbud that had a microphone that would like dangle on your chest. And so they had it set to like a speakerphone level of microphone, like audio codec. So basically anybody that was in the background of somebody's house on PlayStation, you'd hear everything. I was constantly hearing some kid's mom make dinner. I'm like, what the frick is going on? Xbox Party Chat was always so good in comparison. That was something they built. That was something that they offered as a service to the consumer. And if they didn't charge money for it, you think it would have been worth a darn? It would have been crappy. If it can be free, why are you paying for it? Listen, I get that people hate the idea of paying for online on a console. I get it. But in my estimation, if they wouldn't have charged for it and they just made it free, it would have been junk. It wouldn't have worked well. It probably would have been poor quality. Like, it's a give and take relationship. If you're going to keep paying for it, they have to offer you a good service. That's obviously the problem right now with Game Pass, is that it was worth it to many people for a long time, and now it's hitting a threshold of pricing where they're like, this isn't worth it. Back in the day, we used Skype, ICQ, TeamSpeak. Now it's Discord. Now there's Discord on consoles. So why do console players still have to pay? Well, it's become established in the ecosystem. They're like, if you want to use our stuff, you got to pay. I mean, what do you? They're businesses, man. The constant reviling of a business charging for something is just interesting to me. It's like that's what they're going to do. They're going to charge money for stuff. If you want it, pay. If you don't. Like, that's it. That's the exchange. Being like, hey, can you build this entire infrastructure of sending friend invites, a party system, the ability to talk to people, the ability to have a friends list? Can you build all that infrastructure and just give it to me for free? Why? Well, these guys over here did it, so you should too. Oh, okay. I really hope you don't go into every Italian restaurant in existence and demand free breadsticks because Fazoli's does it. Like, you're going to look like an idiot. Like, I don't get why people do that. They're like, well, they do it for free, so should you. It's like, well, a business doesn't care about that. A business is going to maximize how much money they can get from the consumer. You're supposed to try to maximize how much value you get out of the economy or the market. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to try to extract as much value you can. They're supposed to extract as much money they can. That's the give and take. That's the relationship. Bristling at companies charging money, that's literally what they're here for. I saw someone complain saying Pony's only win is that Game Pass is a paid service, acting like that wasn't Xbox 360's biggest selling point at the time. I'm not sure what you mean. That's why you go with the product that suits your needs. I'm comparing the price points, not saying it should be free. We spent $10 for Xbox Live. I'm not sure what your argument is, B&E. Are you saying that because we paid for Xbox Live and really didn't get anything, and now you can pay $30 for... Now that you're paying $30 for Game Pass, it's better because at least you're getting something? Like, is that what you're... Is that the... I'm not sure what your argument is. I don't want to straw man your argument. I don't understand it. Because it to me, I don't necessarily think that is a defense of, you know, I don't think that's a defense of the current status of Game Pass. Well, we used to pay for Xbox Live, we didn't get anything. It's like, that's not really a defense of where the gaming subscription service landed recently. We won't see a next-gen Xbox coming at all. Yeah, on that subject, we've kind of drifted away from that subject. Yeah, I don't trust anything Microsoft says. I don't. Listen, let's think about this from a completely different perspective. Which at some level is humorous given what people did. Like, this just hit me. So, this is comical. I hope you guys enjoy this as much as I'm enjoying thinking about this right now. So in the wake of everything that happened recently with the Xbox brand, a lot of their most prominent defenders and platforms and podcasts and YouTubers suddenly, mysteriously, they started saying that PC was the best place to play. Do you think that was a good idea in hindsight? Do you think that was a good idea? Like, you're the ride or dies. You're the never PlayStation, right? You guys are the ones like, I'm never going to admit that PlayStation is worthy of my attention or my purchase or my engagement. PC is suddenly the promised land. Do you think that was a good idea? Because you basically communicated rather loudly to the brand and to Microsoft that, well, they're all jumping ship to PC. Why would we make a console? You played yourself. You were so busy in the console war, you gave Microsoft every reason they need to be like, well, why would we make a console? Our most prominent supporters are now like pro PC. They're all about PC now. So, yeah, let them migrate to PC. Why would we make a console for them? That just hit me. I was like, that's kind of entertaining. That they were all like, oh, I'm a never PlayStation, never, yeah. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, all the promises about the Series X are crashed, burned, and in the ground. Well, PC's the best place to game. You can build a PC for $778 that blows the PS5 Pro out of the water. No, you can't. But I'm going to say you can. PC. Yeah, I'm all about PC now. How you feeling about that? How you feeling about that now? Here's what's really interesting. Why do any of them care if Xbox doesn't make a future console if PC is the best? Riddle me this. Riddle me this, Batman. If PC's so great, if all of a sudden PC's the best place to play, that's what a lot of these guys suddenly started saying when it was obvious that none of the promises about the Series X were going to come true, and it was basically the PS5 Pro was the strongest console in the market. All of a sudden, they're like, PC's the best place to play. I can get PC Game Pass. I can have this big, huge Steam library. I don't have to pay for online. Then why do you care if they don't make another console? Why are you interested? I'm just asking questions, y'all. I'm just asking questions, y'all. Like, why do you care? I didn't say fat man. I said riddle me this, Batman. I didn't say riddle me this, fat man. Why would I say fat man? It's riddle me this, Batman. Are you guys not familiar with that saying? You thought I said fat man? It sounded like fat man. Riddle me this, fat man. They're like, geez, you're really making this personal. You don't gotta call me fat. I mean, I'm just over here enjoying my PC. Did he call me fat when I was out of the room? Yeah, I was talking about Zubair. He's like, why are you calling me fat? Oh, that'll be in all the videos this weekend. Toxic Pony calls Xbox fans fat. My PC isn't awesome. It's above average, and the answer is 40 to 50 FPS, not great. Easy answer. Console gaming is most popular when it comes to gaming events and game sales. PC hardware suffers whenever they make consumer products like handheld Steam machine. Not gonna lie, it did sound like that. That's funny. I have a PC and I still don't have Game Pass. Well, I mean, PC Game Pass for the longest was the better deal of all of the options because it didn't get the big price hike and it still got day and date, and it also got like EA Play. So it was a much better deal. Yeah, it was a much better deal than like traditional, your traditional like console version that had day and date taken away from it, and then if you wanted day and date, you had to go to Ultimate, and then the price went up. So yeah, the PC version of Game Pass was the better option for a long, long time. Puzzle me this, Chunky. Xbox Core did get better. Oh, I don't even know. I know I didn't pay any attention to it. I was just like, oh wow, the price went up. It sounded like Fat Man. Oh, did you go back and listen? Does it sound like Fat Man? Yeah. The saying is riddle me this, Batman. I was not attempting to say that the person that I was having an inquiry with was fat. I was not saying that. As a PC gamer, PC Game Pass is still cheaper and better than EA Pro and Ubisoft Plus. Why is he asking questions of previously detonated nuclear ordnance? Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Fat Man. That's right. The bomb. If Lono starts prefacing questions directed to me with riddle me this, Fat Man, I'm actually leaving. Zubair's like, I cannot endure that level of insult. What's going on in here? October the 15th, there's a soundtrack listening party for the Ghosts of Yote soundtrack. Can you imagine what new people would think? They'd be like, man, he's really rude to that one audience member. Like, just him, too. Nobody else. Just him. No one else. Only him. He really doesn't like that Zubair guy for some reason. You can be checking out Little Nightmares. That is this week's incentive. I should probably try to get a Little Nightmares 3. I should probably try to get a Little Nightmares 3 PNG. Yeah, for over there. Save image as PNG. Let me go in here. And there we go. Yeah, so this is your incentive. Madam and I will play this on Friday night if you guys hit the goal. There you go. Which we were on a really, really strong pace, and then we've come to a screeching halt. So we're going to be behind pace. We want to get about 100 a day to be on pace for the goal. When does Little Nightmares release? Apparently Thursday. Battlefield's this week too, isn't it? I think. Charles Hawk with 27 months of Member Plus says, I guess Quick Resume wasn't that great after all. And boom, we got the 58. Thank you so much, Charles Hawk. In the most direct terms I have, if you want to play console games, buy a console. If you want to play PC games, buy a PC. You'll be happier that way. Yeah, I think this is where a lot of the conversations would get off of the rails, because I was always thinking in the realm of like value proposition, and I always felt that the value proposition from Xbox was just heading in a territory that didn't interest me. Because if you think about it, up to now, a lot of the times we would have these conversations, your strongest value proposition over there on Xbox was you can save money. Right? Well, saving money doesn't make the games better. Right? That's why I always said, like, the highest virtue of the consumer is not frugality. Like, people always treated this like, well, as long as you're being frugal and saving money, like, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And it was like, to me, that doesn't matter. Like, I'm not trying to be, squeezed dry. Like, yeah, just go ahead and charge me whatever you want to charge me. I'll pay, exorbitant fees, and I'll pay $300 for a game. Like, within reason, yes. I'm not wanting to be squeezed and taken advantage of by companies, but I never once approached the gaming hobby with that mentality of like, well, I'm going to try to save as much as I can. I'm going to game for as cheaply as possible. And I think that's where things differ. You for sure said fat man, Freudian slip. I don't know why I would have said that though. I don't use that as an expression. Unless I supplanted the word, like maybe somebody in chat was saying fat or something and I read it. Yo, Haseo is going to gift a member and bump us to 59. Thank you so much for doing that, Haseo. Frugality may be accurate. It's about value for your dollar as opposed to cheapness where you simply don't want to spend it all. And Haseo gifts another one and gets us to 60. Thank you so much, Haseo. I want to listen to this clip. There's a clip here of John Linneman talking about this situation, I think.
But I do think we are really seeing like a slow motion end to Xbox as we knew it.
As recently as a year ago, I think as of July of last year, Game Pass was $17 USD a month for the ultimate tier.
Yeah, I think there is definitely a Disney Plus effect to this, where Disney Plus actually started as pretty good value.
Yep.
Lots of stuff to watch. And then basically the price rises kept going to the point where people just decided they had enough. Mm-hmm. And I think that's basically what's happening here. In terms of the strategy behind it, surely, it's basic maths, right? They've basically been following a strategy of extreme value in order to grow a massive user base, right? And it's not growing. It's kind of plateaued, right? So how do you make more money if that's the case? And the answer is basically to increase the price points.
But
yeah, I always think those boys have good analysis. Yeah. I went back and listened. He said fat with a PH, not fat with an F. Yeah, I pronounce it fat with a PH. That's right. That video was fire. Yeah, I'm not watching the whole thing. That's just a clip. If Microsoft is really about to bow out of hardware, I seriously could see Sony revising their strategy with releasing titles on PC. Are you going to play more Yote on stream? I've really questioned that. Like, I went and looked, and 2.5 hours on October the 3rd actually did pretty well, and then the 4 hours the day before did pretty well. I don't know if it's a good use of my time. I just don't know. Like, I want to show you guys where I am and what I'm doing, and I'm not playing it in a super linear way. I'm just sort of like absorbing the game and the map and the stories and the music. I don't know. Long-standing, ongoing gameplay on the channel has always been a bit of a touchy thing because it usually leads to very quick exodus and then underperforming videos, which I'm like, I've got other things I can do with my time, right? I can play comfortably on my couch, make notes, I want to do a long tail video, on Yote. And so obviously I'm interested in continuing to play it for that reason, you know, and those sessions might be more profitable when I'm not in front of an audience. Would you ever do a variety channel to not mess with the analytics? I mean, the problem with that is we've considered that mentality. We used to do that. When I was a full-time Destiny creator, we actually would come over to this channel and just play whatever it is that I was playing on and working on. The advantage that we had when we did that was we didn't have to do that much show prep because I was a full-time Destiny content creator, so I could just kind of phone in the coverage a little bit, you know. Hang on. Live discussion. I'm going to put this link on the poll. I forgot to do that. Now I don't have that luxury. Like, if I'm going to spend the afternoon playing a game on another channel with you guys, that feels like very counterproductive. Number one, I'm creating content not on the main channel, which always confuses people. That always confuses people. They're like, wait, I don't have a badge. Where's my membership, right? We go over to another channel, like everything's different and wrong. And then I'm just and then I'm creating content for like a channel that we're not really, you know, invested in growing. Like, we want to grow this channel. We want the sub count to go up here, the membership to go up here. Like, that's kind of the core of the business. This is a good clip too. This is another clip of Linneman talking.
The value proposition that Game Pass represented in the past was inarguably extremely good. And my feeling was always that it was too good. And in fact, there was some potential harm in terms of devaluing the concept of what games actually cost. And when you're offering so many games, including all these day one things for like the price that it used to be, that's just like a ton of quote unquote value, right? Absolutely, no question, especially when you start including like Call of Duty in there, which they did. Like, that's pretty nuts, right? Like, to have one of the biggest games in the world, just like bam, there it is, you get it with your service. But this stuff's not free. Now, I think this could have worked as it was if the install base for Game Pass itself had continued to expand significantly. But I think that they actually do need to they needed more of an install base for this to work in the way that they perhaps wanted. And it feels like they put all of their chips in on this Game Pass concept several years ago, saying, okay, we can't beat the others at their own game, so let's try this. And they did actually find some success with it. The public loved it. The value was insane. But it did not help change the playfield. And unfortunately, they weren't able to necessarily sell the number of units necessarily to keep this sustainable.
Yeah, so Digital Foundry tweeted that that clip as a part of their episode. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that argument has been completely put to bed. This idea that, you know, Game Pass is profitable, you know, that debate always felt so silly to me. It's like it's a loss lead. It has to be a loss lead. Like, it doesn't make any sense if it's not a loss lead. The money they spend to keep it going, the money they spend to put things on it, if it's not a loss lead, then I don't know what a loss lead is. Like, it's not designed to generate profit. It isn't. It's designed to be a loss that then gets people in, and then you have them stuck, which is what people are now. They're stuck. It's like, you've been on Game Pass all these years, and now if you cancel, you have nothing. And so, you know, that trapped feeling, that sort of locked feeling where it's like, well, now what do I do, is exactly why I kept saying, you know, fostering an ecosystem and a culture of non-purchase. You're not building a library. Like, that's a huge risk that you're taking as a player. If it's a loss lead, then Xbox is cooked. They have nothing to lead into anymore. Yeah, I've just come to the conclusion that, like, to me, it's clear that I just don't see what their offer would be to get you to buy hardware in the future. I think that's another part of this equation that gets lost, is like, what would be the reason if they did hardware? Like, how would they even get you to buy it? Like, I genuinely don't even know what the proposition would be. How are you stuck? I'm not stuck. I've had my value from it, and now I'll go back to buying games as I did pre-Game Pass. No, I'm not saying everybody's stuck, Yelgler, but you definitely feel stuck if you're like, well, wait, what kind of a decision do I make as a consumer right now? You can't downplay this just because of your own personal preference. Really consider what I'm saying. You're like, okay, I either cancel Game Pass because it's too expensive and I lose access to all these games that I've had all this time, or I continue spending the money and feel like I'm kind of getting squeezed, like a frog getting slowly boiled in the water. You're stuck between two decisions that aren't great. Seriously, like, neither of those decisions are very good. You cancel Game Pass, lose access to all those games instantly, or you keep paying and feel like you're kind of getting strong-armed into that because you're like, well, I just got to keep paying for this or I'm going to lose access to all these games. How do people play through games multiple times, though? Yeah, but see, you're asking the wrong question. Like, right now, when my daughter booted up my Xbox and she had all these games that she wanted to play or try out or test, that's not true anymore. She can't do that. They're gone. They're not playable. Even games I've owned, I can't count on my hand how many titles I've gone back and played. Right. Again, if you're going to act like not building a library is no big deal because you don't go back and replay games, think of it like this. You have to add up all the money that consumers are going to spend going forward. Okay? So let's say you stay on Game Pass and you're going to spend the $30 a month. So you're going to spend $360 a year. Okay? So in 2 years' time, in just 2 years' time, you're not going to have any games added to your library out of $720. So in 2 years' time, you have spent the amount of money that, like, just to buy a console would cost you or more. And you have nothing. Now, if you're like, oh, but I got to play those games, I got those experiences, that's what I'm paying for. Okay, that's fine. If you view it that way, great. Other people are going to view it differently, and they're going to say, over 2 years, I'm going to spend $720. I'm going to have nothing. I'm going to own nothing. And if I cancel, everything disappears like that. If they decide to raise the prices again, which we're hearing they're going to do, then what are you going to do? So you personally don't feel stuck. I think a lot of people probably feel like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They either keep paying a fee that they feel is too high, or they cancel and they're basically in a situation where they're like, well, now I don't have anything. Do I think that PlayStation will ever have their own Play Anywhere? I don't know. I don't necessarily think they're focused on that type of thing. PlayStation feels focused on... They feel more focused on their hardware and establishing value to get people into their hardware. I stopped renting and bought a house for the same reason. Look up in 5 years and you don't own crap. Right. Think about it like that. There are people right now that are financially in a position in life where they can't own a home. They can't buy a home, so they have to rent. Okay? If you could snap your fingers, change their financial situation, and enable them to buy a home, they wouldn't say no to that. They would be like, that would be great. Why? Because then all the money they're spending on rent for the next 5 years would be investing in the equity of a home. They would be adding to something that they that they could turn around and then sell later. Right? That they're suddenly put into a position of power within the market as a consumer to be investing in something that increases in value typically over time. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, the home and the real estate increases in value over time. And so you're investing in something. So obviously, in the realm of gaming, it's not exactly one-to-one, because if you're buying digital games, you can't necessarily resell them. So the analogy's not perfect, but the analogy holds true that in 5 years, you turn around and you blink and you're like, well, I don't really want to pay for Game Pass anymore. It's more expensive yet again. You're going to turn around and be like, I don't really have anything to show for it. I don't have any games. Like right now, my son is playing through the upgraded version of Breath of the Wild. Why? Because I've got backwards compatibility. I spent $10 and he's got a game to play that I purchased 8 years ago. Right? One day my daughter's going to play Yote. She's begging me to let her play Yote now. And I'm like, kid, it's too hard. You're going to have a terrible time. Even if I lower the difficulty, you're going to get annihilated. Even if I turn the blood and the gore off, I don't think it's a good idea to let you play this right now. You're a little too young, right? One day she's going to be able to play it. Look what happened the minute I canceled Game Pass. Like, she all of a sudden couldn't access any of those games on the Xbox that she used to look at and would consider trying out. That quick. That quick, and the box instantly just becomes this shell of what it formerly was, and it just becomes a Fortnite box to her. Are the people who are talking about not caring about replaying games also the ones who would champion the backwards compatibility for Xbox? Feels like backwards compatibility is to replay games. I originally played Lies of P on PC Game Pass, and by the time the DLC came out, it was off. So I bought the game and the DLC on Steam. I'll probably be canceling PC Game Pass. It's better to just try demos and play a game at full and pay for the game at full price. Yeah, I think at this point, and Deuterino, that's what I kept telling people I thought Xbox should foster, is bring back Xbox Arcade game trials. Bring that back. Bring that back, because that fostered an ecosystem of purchase. It empowered consumers to buy something that they were already enjoying. It was a really, really, really good system. And listen, the other problem with this situation that, we were constantly trying to talk about this is Game Pass, its value is tenuous. It's only valuable until it's not. And when it's not, the bottom falls out. And you're like, I canceled and now I don't have anything. No more game lists. No more screenshots for Twitter bragging about Game Pass eating good. No more of any of that. Just the bottom falls out and you got nothing. It's valuable until it's not. Yote is perpetually valuable to me because it's a good game, I enjoy it, and my daughter can always boot it up and play it. It's perpetually valuable. If anything, its value increases because they're going to improve PSSR next year on the Pro. The PS6 will probably have basic visual performance lifts in games like that. So Yote increases in value over time because I own it. I know it's going to play well in the future. I know it'll play even better on the PS6, given just the basic visual lift that you get in games like that whenever you're playing on a stronger system. So when my daughter finally boots up Yote, let's say I let her play it in 4 years. It's 2029. She's 16. I'm like, all right, girl, it's a wonderful story. I can't wait for you to experience it. I want to talk about it with you. I want to see you experience this game, right? And she's playing it on a PlayStation 6, and there's a visual lift, maybe even some new features added in, whatever. It increased in value because I bought it, and the investment from PlayStation and how they handle their games, it increases in value. What happened with Game Pass? The value disappeared as soon as I wasn't paying for it. As soon as I wasn't paying for Game Pass, the value vanished. Just Thanos snapped out of existence. All those games, gone. Oh, but you can go buy them now. Well, yeah, but that's the point. That's the point, is that value proposition was always, to me, so tenuous. No one's trying to build a library buying a subservice. They're trying to get a deal. And that's what I'm saying, Taco, is that deal's great until it's not. It really is. Like, as soon as it's not a great deal, the show's over. Show's over, pack it up. No reason to stay on it anymore. Now you got nothing. Now you're, buying games. Now, the good news is that you're immediately saving money if you cancel. Okay? You're immediately saving money. So if you were doing $20 a month and you canceled, right? You're not doing 30, but you were doing the $20 a month, right? You're instantly saving $240. So the good news is you can now afford roughly 3 to 4 games a year. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to be an optimist about this and be like, okay, I got a great deal all these years. I got in while the getting was good. I'm getting off the merry-go-round. I'm going to save $240 a year. I can buy 3 to 4 games a year if you're really selective. Let's say you get Steam or you get yourself a PS5 Pro. You buy 3 to 5 games a year. Listen, at some level, this is going to sound really, really, really weird. At some level, diehard Game Pass riders are in a really, really strong position right now because they can sell all their stuff, get some trade-in value, buy themselves a Pro, and there is this award-winning backlog for them to enjoy, and they can just slowly buy those games since they're not paying for Game Pass. That's not a bad place to be as a consumer. I'm going to be real with you. That's not a bad place to be. It's not. You got a great backlog, Switching teams is not a bad idea right now. Even if you go to PC, I mean, the PlayStation games are there. And a lot of them are on sale right now. Silent Spartan with a $5 super chat says, a great example of this is you can now play Control on PS5 Pro at a quality of 60 FPS with ray tracing. Because I own it, I can go back. Another great example of how owning something, it can increase in value with time. Excellently made point, Silent Spartan. So it's weird to say, but as an Xbox person, like if you've been diehard on Game Pass and you're finally getting off the merry-go-round, you could literally be like, you know what? I won. I got in while the getting was good. I got a great deal all these years, and now it's time for me to switch. And guess what? I've got a backlog of award-winning games to buy. You gonna catch heat for that? Catch heat for what? That's the truth. Like, they, at some level, they won if they were eating good this whole time on Game Pass and they were playing indies and third parties. And if this year they played Oblivion and Avowed and South of Midnight and Expedition 33 and Doom and Silksong and the list goes on. And now they get off that merry-go-round, trade all their stuff in, buy a Pro, maybe get a PC. Who the frick cares? You're saving $240 a year. That's time to start building a library. That's a decent chunk of change every year. Good point, Lono. Makes me feel better. I'm trying to bring a little ray of sunshine to people that feel like, what the frick happened to the brand that I love? Well, it sucks, but you got a great deal for a really long time. All good things must come to an end. And now, if you put down your tribalism and admit that PlayStation Studios cook red hot fire, go start playing the dadgum games because they're good. Making sense, trust. You know how their minds work? I don't know how their minds work because their minds don't work, Brooklyn. They're broken. I don't give a crap what they think of me. I don't care what lesser men think of me. I've given up caring what children think of me. I care about the men around me that I respect, and if they respect me, then that matters more than what some buffoon on YouTube or Twitter thinks of me. I don't care. Especially Steam sales. Oh yeah, you could fill your library rather quickly with $240 a year on Steam. There's some great sales going on right now. I was telling everybody to buy Returnal because it's on sale right now. It's a great time. It's a great time to play Returnal. Returnal's one of their best games. You can get in such a great time. You've got so many games you can play and so many games you can wait on. You got Yote. Wait on Yote. Wait. Play Tsushima Director's Cut. Just soak it in. Have a great time. Soak up Returnal. Have a great time. And then you'll be ready for Sorrows. Play all the Spider-Man games, and then you'll be ready for Wolverine. You play Ratchet and Clank. Play God of War 2018, and then Ragnarok. And Horizon Zero Dawn is the best it's ever been with that remaster. And then you can play Forbidden West. You're not in a bad spot if you feel like it's time to jump off the Xbox merry-go-round. You're not in a bad spot at all. You want to know why? Because the games are still there. You can still go purchase them, and you can enjoy them. And if anything, this is a real turn of events. A lot of the things that these boys have criticized over the years could end up being great for you. You can play the literal best version of TLU 1, the best version of God of War 2018, the best version of Horizon Zero Dawn. Why? Well, you waited. And all those things you made fun of, like remasters and remakes and the Pro, all of a sudden, they're actually not that bad. You can play the best versions of all those games. You can play them on the Pro. You can play them on a really strong PC. And you're going to play a better version than people played when it first came out. Because maybe they came out for the PS4 and they were 30 FPS. Maybe they came out for the PS4 and now it's been remastered to match the, the visual fidelity of PS5 games. Like we saw with Last of Us Part 1 and Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone. It's not a bad place to be. Mike Macon with 28 months over there on Purple bumps the line to 61. We're a little behind on pace. You guys want to end the day at 100 to be on pace for Madam and I to play Little Nightmares 3. It's October, so we're doing spooky games every Friday night. And if you guys hit the goal, you can make us play. And a Member Plus renewal from Clevelando with 13 months. What's next AAA game going day one to Game Pass, making it worth keeping right now? Call of Duty, which is a doozy, but that's why they raised the price. They raised the price and made all these changes because they're about to put another Call of Duty on there, and Call of Duty was super costly. Didn't you hear all the PlayStation games are exactly the same? Yes, if you believe somebody who would fail a literary criticism class, yes, all the stories are the same. You should play Silent Hill F. I don't like those games. I don't like survival horror games. They don't do anything for me. I get bored. Outer Worlds 2. Yeah, Outer Worlds 2 is coming to Game Pass, and then Call of Duty, and then Ninja Gaiden. So there's still some good games coming in the lineup, for sure, for Game Pass. You got to ask yourself if it's worth staying on, though. You could pick up Game Pass in December and then play all the games at once and then cancel again. A lot of people are going to start churning and burning. You'll wait until there's a stack of games you want to play, sign up for $30, play all those games in a month, and then cancel. A $5 super chat from Siriu. Imagine if Sony did another Game Classics collection for the PS6 like they did for the PS5. And a 5 bomb comes in from Siriu to get us back on pace. 67 on the day. Super close to the next milestone of 75. Thank you, Siriu. We're waiting for somebody to drop the first 10 and 20. Did we get a 10 bomb today? Yes, Behemoth did it. So nobody's done a 20 or a 50 yet. And we do have new alerts for 100 bombs. Only Purple can do those. Reportedly, COD lost them $30 million by putting it on Game Pass. Yes, internally that caused all sorts of strife, and that's one of the reasons that Game Pass has gotten more expensive, because they want to make the money back. You get, let's just say 15 million people stay on and pay that extra 10, right? We did this math the other day, and I said, well, if roughly 15 million people stay on, that's $150 million in a month. That's $150 million in just 1 month of people weathering the price hike. Okay? Well, multiply that by a couple of months. You get a couple of months out of these people, and that $300 million in losses that they took on COD, they'll get it back, and then whatever they're going to lose on the next COD, they'll get it back. That's why they're doing this. According to Sneakers, it won't be the last price increase. It won't. Was watching Luke's video. I'm not sure what you're referring to. If you guys have hit the subscribe button today on YouTube, thank you for doing that. Subscribing to YouTube is free. Also, hitting the like button is free. Try to get me to 400 likes. This video will probably do pretty well later as a VOD. People are going to be interested in my thoughts. The monologue is literally at the beginning of the show. There will be no timestamp for this broadcast. You just watch the show open and it's there. I just decided to go in and get it off my chest right away. Oh, where he talked about the price increases? Yeah. After Hades 2, I'm going to play modded Skyrim and then try to build some mods for Starfield. Sounds good. I was there, man. Oh, for the show open. Yeah, sometimes people come in and they're like, hey, did the monologue happen? And they're going to be looking for a timestamp later. And I'm like, there is no timestamp. Just if you want to watch the monologue, just go to the very beginning of the show. Sometimes people show up late and they're like, oh, did you do the monologue yet? You love Sword of the Sea? I couldn't get down with it. It didn't hook me. I just felt like I was kind of playing like a... It just felt like I don't know. I felt like I was playing a Tony Hawk game, and I know people loved it. I wasn't knocking it. It just didn't grab me. I thought I was gonna love it, and I checked out pretty quickly. I mean, I played a lot of games this year, and that one just didn't hook me. So, my wife and I are still plugging away in Borderlands. I'd really love a performance patch because I feel like it's getting worse the further we get in the game. We're at 36 hours. I'm at 13 hours in Yote. All my grinding in Returnal took my total Returnal playtime to 134 hours. Still not done with the weapon grind in that game. Junebug, thank you so much for renewing your purple sub. 30 months. Welcome back. If you guys are paying for Amazon Prime, you can sub to me for free every month on Purple, and it supports me, but you have to do it manually. How far into Ghost of Yote? It says I'm 13%. I'm just, dude, soaking in the game slowly. I am marinating in that game slower than I've ever done in a game before, and I am enjoying it. I wonder if it's going to end up being like one of my favorite games of all time. I don't know if it might be surpassing Tsushima. It might be. I think it might be the best open world game that I've ever played. I think it might be. There is something so special about that game. It's just so organic, and it feels just, I don't know. It's hard to put into words. It's a vibe. Yeah, it's just a vibe. Like last night, I mean, I'm just wandering and just talking to people. And I talked to this guy, and he told me a story, and I wrote him a song, and I was like, I got to hear that again. And I literally just made camp and played it again. Did it surpass Claire Obscure? Yote is going to be my game of the year. 100%. 100%. I can already tell. I'm 13 hours in, and I'm like, this is going to be my game of the year. It's just wonderful. It's fantastic. I don't even, I stutter when I talk about it because it's hitting so many marks and tones for me. I'm floored when I'm playing it. It's wonderful. I don't feel like I keep coming back to this. I don't feel like I'm playing a game. I don't. I feel like I'm exploring an open world as a warrior, as a nomadic warrior. It just feels so real and great, and I'm going to struggle to talk about it and write about it. I really am. It's such a high quality game. You can almost tell it's at such a high quality because of the nonsense people are trying to pull on Twitter. They're trying to make it look bad. Like there was somebody rolling around in water. Probably the only way he'll ever get a woman wet. Ew. But there was that clip, and then there's the grifting idiots that are trying to act like it's a game full of gimmicks and it's not any good. And it's like, so a clip of like Detective Seed's cooking fish went viral, and everyone's like, stupid gimmick, dumb bit. And it's like, you guys have lost your way. You've lost your way. You're completely lost. That's the only way I can describe these absolute buffoons. They're losers. They're losers. Like, they have lost their way. A magnificent, just wonderful triumph of a game, and they're like, yeah, these gimmicks. What's a game full of gimmicks? And it's like, where's your mirth? Does nothing bring you joy anymore? There's something meditative about cooking in Yote. This is what people forget. This is what people forget. It's like a video game is meant to immerse you at every level. Like, that's what it's supposed to try to do. And when a game says, at every step of the way, haptic feedback in the controller, how the wind system works, how the spyglass system works, how the bounty system works, how the open world works, how open world discoverability works, how clues in the world work, how cooking a meal, learning a song, camping out, how all those things work, they're just these little touches to immerse you in the entire package of the game. And what these people do, they've lost their way. It's like they don't know how to interpret a game anymore. It's like they don't even speak the language of video games anymore. They don't. They have gooned themselves stupid. They don't even see games as games anymore. Everything's a battleground. Everything is an opportunity to insult or to mock, or that's what they've become. They've become mockers. That's what they've become. They've become fools and mockers and sowers of dissension. That's their role that they're playing. So nothing brings them joy, mirth, happiness, excitement. So what they do is they see all these things in a game, and instead of being like, these are all pieces of a larger puzzle, they like yank the piece out by itself and like, look at this stupid thing. And it's like, it's part of the entire package. It's part of the entire package. Like, when's the last time they played a game and just smiled at, like, the experience and the world and the artistry? When's the last time they did that? You're not the majority? I got news for you, brother. You don't want to check these tweets and check the ratios. You're in for a rude awakening if you think these people on these hate trains and all this anti-woke grifting that they've done, all the lies that they've spread, I wouldn't check the like ratios on these tweets, because you're in for a real rude awakening. You're not the majority. You're not the majority. It's why all these games have been perfectly fine and perfectly successful and have sold perfectly well. Every single one. James is trying to set up a 5-bomb dunker with 2 singles. Boom, boom, we're at 70. We're 5 away from the next milestone. Abe coming in with a VIP renewal, bumps the line as well. 54 months in a VIP. And a 5-bomb comes in from Alapark. Boom, he won Yote last week. He's probably still in a good mood about that. Congrats again, Alapark. Read my last 2, 1 sec. I'm going to pay up now. I was forgetting a couple times last week to pay up. Todd Howard describes this a lot. It's about buying the virtual world that you're in. Even though Yote isn't doing simulation like other open world games, the little things matter. It makes the world feel alive. Yes, from the wind on the foliage and the grass and the horses running and the skybox and the time of day changes, it's just everything. Like, it's such a complete package. Such a complete package. I'm telling you, it's magnificent. It's magnificent. And they know that it is. They know that it is. I'm here to tell you, their anger, their ire, their seething, their fury, all their tweets, it's an admission of they're furious that it's a good game. Because they either have to be disingenuous and lie and play it in secret, or they have to miss out. It's the stop having fun meme down to its bone marrow. I'm telling you, they are so upset that people are having an absolute blast and that clips are going viral and tweets are going viral. Every single one of my tweets has gone, just screenshots have gotten crazy view counts on Twitter. Like, people are really, really digging the game, and they hate it. They absolutely hate that it's being successful. Why? It's not personal. It isn't. It's business. Hear me say this. It's not personal for them. It's business. It is a complete denial of their claims, of their predictions. It murders their credibility. It causes their audiences to really question just how potent is your movement if this is the result of one of your biggest targets this year. That's why they're angry. They're obviously angry because I think there's deeper seated frustrations and some people need therapy. But by and large, a lot of the grifters are really, really angry. Why? Because this is a huge blow to their credibility. This isn't personal. This is business for them. It's like, oh, good golly. This is like the 5th game this year that did really well that we said was going to suck and flop. What are we going to do? What are we going to grift on next? You better move on to politics because the ground is sinking beneath you. More than likely, like I said, end of this year, you'll see that. You'll see people just pivot. They'll pivot off of gaming. There won't be anything to target or mock or yell about anymore. The sales charts will be this giant, glaring, black and white repudiation of everything they shoveled, and they'll have to move on. I'm glad that you found a game that's so up your alley. I can tell you're almost speechless at how great it is. I kept my expectations sort of tempered because I was like, it's a sequel. You know, I thought Forbidden West wasn't quite as great as my first experience of Zero Dawn. Spider-Man 2, similarly. I loved both Forbidden West and Spider-Man 2, but I was a little worried. I was like, Yote could land a little flat with me, and it has completely blown me away. They'll fail at politics too. Well, they can go over there and fail at politics and we won't have to listen to their crap anymore. Yeah, I don't care about the actress's views though, Nabi. I don't care that Mark Hamill has a bunch of really wild ideas and tweets about issues. I don't care. If they hired him to be the Joker again, I'd be like, I can't wait to play that Batman. I would be like, yeah, but Mark Hamill he's a little unhinged on Twitter. I don't give a frick what he thinks. He does a great job as the Joker. It doesn't matter to me. Like, why would that matter? It's weird that certain games are being weaponized. Supporting that says you truly believe in and support her views? No, what you're saying is absolute utter nonsense. Supporting Ghost of Yote says nothing about what I think or supporting of her views. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. She got hired to do a job. She did a job. I'm supporting PlayStation and Sucker Punch. I'm not supporting her. You sound like you are a male feminist. You sound like you have the inability to argue with somebody who outweighs you, so you're resulting to insults that you basically use probably on Reddit and Twitter to great effect. You know nothing about me if you think I'm a male feminist. I've given some of the most strongest diatribes against whatever frickin' weird wave of feminism we're in now anyway. Part of that wave hurt me professionally a couple of years ago. You don't know who you're talking to if you think I'm some male feminist. When did feminism become bad? I don't align with labels like that because I think those end up narrowing what somebody's going to think about you. If you walk out and say you're a feminist, 8 people will think something different about what you said. One person will think it means this, another person will think it means that, and another person over here will think it means something completely different. So I would never come out and identify with those types of labels because I believe they're immediately divisive and it makes people think things about you that aren't true. It's funny, the guy comes in and basically just proves Lono right about everything he just said about them being mad. They're extremely mad that people are enjoying a game that they targeted and it didn't work. You want to talk about magnifying their feeling of powerlessness. Yote's success, AC Shadow's success, Split Fiction's success, all these games that did well in the face of their claims, it's just magnifying their feeling of powerlessness. The movement and the nonsense, it appeals to people who feel powerless, and then they feel powerful because their tweet can go viral. You know, they can brigade against a video and trash the like count on it, and that can make them feel powerful. But then when it doesn't work and the game still does very well, it magnifies their feeling of futility and it increases their frustration because now their existence truly means nothing. Fair, but saying that's not how it works is just not true. You're making an assertion instead of an argument. I made an argument, not an assertion. I argued, I think rather logically and rather consistently, that when I give money to purchase a game that goes to the publisher and the developer, I am not directly supporting somebody's political views that were involved. What you're saying is absurd because what you'd have to do is then only buy games that hire people whose views align with your own. You've not done that, therefore you're not consistent in your position, therefore your position's not worthy of respect. Do you know the political views of every actor, every engineer, every community manager, every line of code that's been written by any intern or quality assurance employee? Do you know all their views? I mean, you're probably buying games and supporting people that have political views that are completely not aligned with your own. Therefore, you fund views you don't agree with. Therefore, you're a hypocrite and no one should listen to you. I don't care about being right. It's like saying you believe that women and men are the same. We are not. I'm not sure what you're talking about now. You're seemingly jumping to a completely other subject because you lost the current one. If you don't care about being right, then why are you typing anything? It's convenient to not care about being right when you get proven wrong. I mean, that's a convenient abdication of concern. I research every employee at companies before I buy any game. I can't support someone I don't agree with. I haven't purchased a game in years. Yeah, you just murder your hobby while you're at it. You know what I mean? Just put your hobby in a grave. You can't function as a consumer that way. It's convenient activism is all it is. It's all it is. It's convenient activism. It's like, I'm going to really care about this thing right now, and I'm going to draw this line in this sand, and I'm not going to support this game because I'm not going to support this person's views. There's no way you're consistent and you do that across the board. So why would anybody listen to a single frickin' thing you say? It's just momentary activism, momentary virtue. No, nobody cares. Nobody cares what your views are and that. Oh, I didn't buy this game because she thinks this. Well, good for you. No, I'm going to rewind this stream and look for the time where I asked because I didn't. Like, nobody asked what you think and why you're not buying a game. You know why? Because nobody cares. My point is we are not the same. My argument is that this gives people the wrong ideas. You are now speaking in the most generic platitudes that you could possibly speak in. You're not even making a coherent point now. I don't even know what you're trying to say. You're like, well, not every crayon in the crayon box is green, so that's all I'm trying to say. What? Like, I don't even know what you're saying, bro. I, for one, believe that bad things shouldn't happen to people. Praise me. Rave says, the F did I come back to? I honestly don't know. I went from being told that I was supporting somebody just by buying the game. I don't think that's even remotely true, and I believe I falsified the claim. And now they're just saying nonsense. I don't know what they're saying. I stopped buying games or deleting games because of politics. I'd have no games to play. Yeah, if you start down that road, you can't play anything. But it's so, that's why it's a grift. It's not consistent. They don't really care. It's just an easy way to make a buck because there's a whole groundswell of very angry people that'll gobble up the content. So, listen. We went long enough on topic. You can tell now because we're off topic. We went 2 hours and 50 minutes on topic. Now we're well off topic. So what we're going to do is we're going to pivot to the green room. Do me a quick favor and smash the like button. We only need 10 more likes. If you want to come to the green room, you got to be on Member Plus or above, okay? So upgrade. It supports me directly. I'll put a link in the chat. We are trying to get to 600 Member Plus and above. We're a little under 500. We've slipped quite a bit. I'm not too sure why. YouTube's made it really hard to make members only content, so maybe people feel like they're not getting as much as they used to. Sadly, that's not my fault, so hopefully you guys don't hold that against me and continue your patronage of the channel because it's how I do this full time. So there's a link in chat. We're going to switch gears now. No, I completely agree with you, Ginger. Just one final word on this. I have said consistently that when people have done that, when the guy did it with Avowed and when that person did it with Sucker Punch, I think that's completely irresponsible and stupid to put a project in jeopardy by going out and publicly saying things that you know are incredibly divisive and very, very hot button issues, right? So, yeah. I completely agree with you, and I was glad that Sucker Punch did what they did. They fired the person, specifically spoke to it in an interview, and said that they condemned it, and then they moved on. That's what they should do. Oh my gosh. Silent Spartan says, we're not ending the day behind pace, and he does a 20 bomb, and then a 5 bomb, and I now owe you guys a member. I'm going to do that before we get out of here. If you guys just got a gifted member from Silent Spartan, do me a favor and say thank you and consider upgrading to Member Plus. It's $1 more. It's $1 more to upgrade. It's a $6 a month membership, but you get into the thing that we're about to go to. We are about to go to the green room. So, all right. I'm going to put the link back in chat because it got pushed out of chat by the gifted bombs, and then we're going to start green room. Hey, thanks so much for being a member to this channel. If you are Member Plus, if you are VIP, you are supporting me directly, and maybe you're getting gifted memberships, and if you're seeing this, you are either watching it later or you're at the tail end, and a 5 bomb for Twitch comes in and pushes the line a little bit higher. Alex is blessing some people over there on Twitch. I'm going to end the previous stream and bring folks over with redirect. You finally got me to talk about Xbox. I thought it was a good stream. I thought people kept it pretty civil. There really wasn't anybody coming in